Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the forgotten world of medieval Iceland, where the first sound of morning is not a bell or a clock, but the groan of timbers under snow, and the faint rush of icy wind finding cracks in turf walls. You wake beneath a low roof packed with frozen earth, its weight pressing down in silence. The bed is a heap of straw layered with sheepskins, rough against your cheek, warm in patches but cold at your feet. Smoke lingers from the hearth, seeping into everything: wool, hair, breath. Outside, the long night has not ended, though it must be morning because someone stirs, muttering softly, pulling on heavy boots. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you'd like, leave a comment sharing where you're listening from, or which moment in history you'd most want to wake up in. Now, dim the lights, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You blink against the gloom, the only light a faint red ember in the hearth. You feel the shift of cold air as the door opens. Just a crack, snow dust swirling inward. A man's shape squeezes through, shoulders brushing the frame. He stamps his feet, shaking loose white powder. You shiver even under skins. The first frost of the season has deepened, and already it presses hard on the house, creaking, a muffled growl above your head. The turf roof smells of damp grass, even through winter's grip. Your breath fogs, drifting like ghost trails into the dark. Someone coughs beside you, a dry rasp. There is always cough in winter, air close, lungs strained, and remedies uncertain. A small pot of herbs sits by the wall, dried stalks of angelica waiting to steep, when water can be spared. Records suggest these plants were prized not only for flavour, but for their power to ward off sickness, though no one here knows for sure. A child stirs, whimpering softly. A hand reaches from another bed of straw, calming, stroking tangled hair. The roof beams creak again, snow settling. You wonder if it might break. Some winters, houses have collapsed under their own coverings. The thought makes your stomach clench. You push back the skins, stepping into air sharp as ice water. Feet slip onto frozen earth floor, hard-packed, uneven, slick in corners where frost gathers. The roughness of wool at your calves itches. Your fingertips find the doorpost cold and damp. Each surface has its own texture. The rough turf wall, the slick iron latch, the gritty floor. You live inside these textures, night after night. Someone coaxes flame from ember. Dry moss, twigs, a breath. It flares suddenly, throwing shadows on the wall, black and gold. For a moment, the room feels alive again. Sparks drift like fireflies trapped indoors. You hear them hiss as they fall. The warmth reaches only a few steps, but everyone leans toward it. A dog shifts near the entrance, shaking itself, claws scraping wood. Its body heat is as valuable as any blanket. You crouch and feel its fur, coarse and oily, smelling of fish. It leans into you, sighing. The wind outside grows louder. You imagine the valley white with snow, roofs disappearing under drifts. There are no roads, only paths now buried. Livestock huddle in sheds, their breath rising like steam into the rafters. You think of the sheep, their wool thick but still not enough, and the haystack that must last until spring. Always a calculation, always fear of running out. The air inside tastes of smoke and wool grease. You swallow, throat dry. Someone passes a horn of sour whey, sharp on the tongue, and you drink because it is what is there. Records hint that this drink was not just nourishment but ritual, a way of keeping body in balance through lean months. Your stomach tightens, then settles. The light from the small flame trembles. A draft snakes along the floor, chilling ankles, tugging at hems. You wrap wool tighter around your shoulders, coarse fibers scratching skin. The fire grows, fed with driftwood collected in better days, each crack an echo against low walls. You listen to the timbers above, groaning under frost. The sound becomes rhythm, A deep background hum. Your eyelids grow heavy again. Though morning has come, morning without sunlight, only the pale guess of dawn filtered through storm. You imagine stepping outside, snow blinding, air cutting like glass, but you do not move. You stay by the fire watching flame climb. The day stretches ahead, endless, cold. Work waits, mending, feeding, tending. Yet for now there is only this: smoke, breath, silence between gusts. A rooster crows faintly, muffled under drifts. A thin voice fighting through snow. The sound makes you smile, because it is small, because it insists on morning, even when light refuses to return. Your body softens, leaning into warmth. The roof holds, the storm rages. Inside you breathe in smoke, wool, and the faint sweetness of dried angelica. You exhale fog, and the world shrinks to this single room, this first frost pressing down on a turf roof that does not break, not yet. You rise slowly, joints stiff, the air thick with smoke from the rekindled fire. The light has not grown, still the same half-darkness, the same dull glow through a crack in the turf wall. It is morning, though nothing in your body feels it. The long dark has arrived. You mark the days not by clocks or bells, but by the shift of wind, by the dwindling candles, by how many times you have filled the trough for sheep before snow sealed the shed again. Someone opens the door wider, and the storm greets you with a mouthful of ice. Snow swirls in, stinging your face. You clutch the frame, wood rough under your palm, the iron latch frozen to the touch. The horizon is gone, buried in white. The land itself has vanished. You think, how long will this darkness last? In this world the sun creeps low, barely brushing the edge of sky before slipping away again. Some winters you feel the sun has forgotten you altogether. The wind roars like water, a steady rush that drowns thought. You hear the cry of sheep from their shed, muffled, frantic. You close the door quickly, leaning into it until the latch catches. The dog whines, pacing, ears flat. Its restlessness mirrors your own. Inside, the air tastes of sweat and smoke, sour and close. Everyone moves slower. Someone sets a pot near the fire, filling it with dried fish and water. The smell rises immediately. Salty, heavy, familiar. The children groan, they want something else, but there is nothing else. Winter meals are the same: stockfish, butter, sometimes dried lamb, sometimes skyr, if the pots have not frozen solid. Records suggest families grew weary of this sameness, yet survival dulled complaints. Food is food. You sit by the wall, knees drawn to your chest. Wool wraps you tightly, scratchy against skin, but better than the bite of air that slips through every seam of the house. You rub your feet, numb even near the fire. Toes prick with pain as they thaw. You breathe into your palms, breath white in the air. Voices murmur, low, weaving together like threads. Someone tells of storms past, of roofs caved in, of sheep lost beneath drifts. Another shakes their head, saying records hint at winters harsher still. Whole valleys buried, cattle dying by the dozen. You listen, and your chest tightens. History feels close here, pressing against the walls, a reminder that every winter is a gamble. The candle is lit, beeswax melting into a shallow dish. Its flame sputters, fighting the draught. Shadows ripple across the walls, alive, restless. You watch the wick bend and straighten. Bend again. The flame is a measure of life in this room. When it dies, the dark becomes whole again. You feel time stretch. An hour passes, or perhaps only a handful of minutes. Without sun, without stars. Hours blur. Some mark time by tasks. When the fish is ready, when the sheep are fed, when the firewood stack shrinks. Others scratch tallies into wood, counting days until spring. You are not sure if the marks are true. The room grows colder again. You pull skins tighter, and still your shoulders shake. A hand brushes yours, rough, warm, and presses a mug into it. Ale, weak and thin, but warm as it goes down. You swallow slowly, throat burning, eyes closing. For a moment you imagine the warmth will stay, but it fades quickly, leaving only thirst. Children whimper. One presses close to their mother, face buried in wool. The mother hums, low, a tune without words. The sound blends with the wind outside, with the creak of timbers, with the hiss of the fire. You think this is how silence sounds, a silence full of noise. Your back aches from sitting. You rise, moving to the corner where tools hang. An axe rests against the wall, blade chipped. You run your finger along the wood handle, smooth with years of grip. You think of the shed buried under snow, of the hay stacked inside. You imagine trudging through drifts taller than yourself, axe heavy in your hand. The thought alone makes you tired. Someone stirs the pot, steam curling upward, damp against your face. You breathe it in, salt filling your nostrils. The smell clings to everything, clothes, hair, even dreams. You taste fish before it touches your tongue. It is survival itself, stripped of pleasure. The fire cracks sharply, a log splitting, sparks rise, orange against black. For an instant, the room feels brighter, faces glow, eyes reflecting light. You see exhaustion there and hope too, though faint. Winter strips both bare. A cough rattles the air again. Deeper now, the woman who coughed earlier bends over, hand pressed to her chest. Someone brings her a bowl of herbs, steeped weakly, the liquid brown and bitter. She drinks, grimacing. Records suggest remedies rarely cured, but they gave something else, the feeling of doing, of fighting. You watch her swallow, her shoulders relax slightly. The dog whines again, pawing at the door. You kneel beside it, scratching behind ears, feeling its ribs under coarse fur. It presses into you, warm and trembling. You whisper nonsense, soft, and it sighs, eyes half closing. The moment feels fragile, a small mercy against the storm. Outside, the wind howls, constant, unbroken. Inside, breath fogs, fire hisses, voices murmur, time drips, thick and slow. You cannot tell if it is morning or afternoon. You cannot tell how long until light returns. The dark is not just outside, it seeps into you, heavy as snow pressing on the roof. And yet, you sit by the fire, wrapped in wool, listening to stories murmur through the smoke. You feel your body sway with the rhythm of flame, with the rhythm of voices. The long dark has descended, and you live inside it now, breath by breath, hour by hour, as snow buries the world beyond your door. You lean closer to the fire, the glow painting your cheeks in soft orange. The room smells of wood sap and fish, a blend so constant you barely notice until the air shifts. Someone tosses dried herbs onto the embers, and for a heartbeat the scent changes, sharp green, almost sweet. The smoke curls upward, weaving patterns in the dimness, and you breathe it in. Records suggest herbs like angelica were burned not only for their healing qualities, but to freshen air heavy with sickness. You wonder if it works, or if it is only hope made visible in smoke. A child tugs at your sleeve, a wooden toy clutched in their small hand, a horse, crudely carved, its legs uneven. They hold it out, wanting you to admire. You smile, running your finger along its rough surface. The child beams, then gallops it across the floor, making soft clopping sounds. Their laughter is quick, fragile, then swallowed by the hush of the room. You watch, warmed not by the fire but by the sound, a reminder that joy survives even in deep winter. The pot is uncovered. Steam rises, rich and heavy. A ladle dips, clay bowls passed hand to hand. You cradle yours, heat seeping into stiff fingers. The broth is thin, fishy, tinged with butter scraped from the last of the summer churn. The salt clings to your lips, the warmth pulls in your belly. Each mouthful tastes of necessity, not delight, yet you savour it because you know each bowl is measured against dwindling stores. The candle flickers. Its wax drips in slow beads, freezing halfway down before reaching the dish. The flame throws shadows long across the turf walls. You watch them ripple, faces stretching, arms bending, movements doubled. Shadows tell their own sagas, silent and strange. You remember stories of spirits that walk during the long night, shades moving between light and dark. Records hint that some feared winter was a time when boundaries thinned, when the unseen pressed closer. The thought makes you glance to the shuttered window, listening for more than wind. Someone begins to speak, voice rough with age. Not a prayer, not a warning, but a tale. The children quiet, eyes wide. The story unspools, half remembered, about gods who once shaped the land, about settlers who braved seas of ice. The words rise and fall with the crackle of flame, rhythm steady as heartbeat. You sink into it, pulled by cadence more than meaning. Each sentence feels older than the walls, older than the snow pressing outside. You wonder how many winters these same words have filled. The dog lifts its head, ears twitching. A sound outside, faint, muffled. Perhaps only the shift of snow, perhaps something more. You strain to hear. Footsteps, hoofbeats. The wind smothers certainty. You glance toward the door. A pause, then the elder clears his throat, continuing the saga, and the spell of listening knits together again. But the unease lingers, a reminder that even in isolation the world presses close. The air grows colder. The fire struggles, wood hissing as it burns damp. You pull your cloak tighter, wool scratching at your neck. Your toes ache again, numbness creeping back. Someone stirs the embers, coaxing flame, muttering softly. Sparks leap, vanish. The logs collapse inward, and the heat swells for a moment. You lean forward, greedy for warmth. A cough breaks the quiet. Deep, wet, rattling. The sick woman leans against the wall, her face pale in flickering light. A child brings her a cloth, and she presses it to her lips. Stains darken the fabric. Records suggest winter brought more than cold. Fevers, wasting coughs, ailments with no sure cure. You watch her close her eyes, shoulders trembling, then relax as the cloth is taken away. The room holds its breath. Then the elder resumes his story, voice steady, as if to shield everyone with words. Time drifts. You cannot tell how long you've sat listening. The candle shortens, flame shrinking, shadows grow deeper, swallowing edges of the room. The saga winds toward an end. A battle, a loss, a triumph remembered in blood. The elder's voice slows, words fading into silence. The children shift, restless. Some already asleep against their mothers. The only sound is the storm clawing at the roof. You stand, stretching stiff limbs. The air feels heavier now, pressing close. You move to the door, lifting the latch carefully. A rush of icy wind hits your face. Snow swirls in, biting skin, filling your lungs with cold that burns. You squint into the night. Nothing but white sky and earth merged, horizon gone. The wind howls, pulling at your cloak, tugging hair across your eyes. You close the door quickly, shivering. The dark outside feels endless, a weight without edges. You sit again, the fire your only anchor. The room smells of ash and sweat, of fish broth cooling in bowls. You watch the last logs burn, their glow sinking lower, sparks flickering like stars trapped indoors. Someone adds moss to the flame. The scent sharp, almost bitter. Smoke thickens, stinging eyes. You blink tears away, breath catching. The dog lies near your feet, its body curled, ribs rising and falling. You reach down, stroking its fur. It shifts, sighing, tail thumping once. Its warmth seeps into your palm, grounding you. You close your eyes listening. The wind, the breath of those sleeping, the faint crack of timber above. The world feels smaller than ever, pressed into this single room. And yet, within it, there is life. Stories told, bowls shared, laughter that lingers. even coughing that marks presence. You think of the darkness beyond and the silence that smothers. Then you look at the fire, small but defiant, and you understand why each flame matters, why each spark is tended. The long dark has claimed the land outside, but inside light still breathes. You settle against the wall, cloak around you, the weight of wool heavy on your shoulders. Your eyes close, though the candle has not yet gone out. You drift between waking and sleep. The story's echoes still in your ears, the storm's voice in the rafters. You do not know if morning will bring sun or only more shadow. But you are here, inside the long dark, living through it, one breath, one bowl, one story at a time. You wake again with a start, though you cannot tell if you have slept for minutes or hours. The fire has slumped low, embers glowing like buried jewels under ash. The air is cooler now, a sharp bite against your nose. You pull the cloak tighter around you, its wool heavy, faintly damp with breath and smoke. The room is hushed except for the steady moan of wind outside, that constant voice that has not paused in days. You listen for small sounds, someone shifting under blankets, a sigh from a child, the scratch of the dog's claws as it dreams. Each noise is amplified in the quiet, marking life inside these walls. You stand, careful not to wake anyone, and move closer to the fire. The stones around it are warm under your fingers, rough and slick with soot. You rake the ashes gently, coaxing sparks to life. They flare orange and red, and for a moment you feel relief, like you've called back the sun itself. A faint light seeps through the crack above the door. Not sunlight. It is too dim, too blue, but a pale shift that suggests day. In Icelandic winter, day is only a suggestion, a ghost of brightness that never fully arrives. You press your ear to the door. Beyond it, the world howls, the storm still raging. The timbers groan as if tired of holding. The turf roof sighs under its load. You wonder if it can last. Some records suggest entire houses collapsed in such winters, families trapped beneath snow until neighbours dug them out, if neighbours still lived. You imagine the weight above, pressing, shifting, your chest tightens. The door creaks open. A figure enters, arms piled with wood, snow clinging to wool like sugar. He stamps his boots, shakes his cloak, breath visible in heavy clouds. He mutters about drifts waist-high, sheep restless, sheds half-buried. His cheeks are raw with cold, lashes tipped with frost. You take the wood from him, stack it by the fire, and the sound of splitting bark feels like a gift. Soon flames rise again, snapping, throwing light on faces turned toward warmth. One by one, sleepers stir. Children yawn, rubbing eyes with fists. A woman combs tangles from her hair with fingers, strands crackling with static. The sick woman coughs, the sound deep, her face pale but her eyes open. Someone hands her a mug of broth reheated from last night, thin but warm. She drinks slowly, each swallow careful. The children gather near the fire, their bodies small knots of wool and hair. One begins to sing, a high, wavering tune, and another joins, their voices thin but brave. The song is simple, a fragment of something older, words stretched and blurred. Records hint that such songs were used to mark time, to keep spirits steady during endless dark. You listen, and your throat aches with the beauty of it. Work begins, though the light outside has barely shifted. A man mends a broken harness, leather stiff under his hands. A woman spins wool, spindle turning with practiced rhythm. The thread is uneven, coarse, but it will do. You take up a needle, its point glinting faintly, and patch a tear in your cloak. The thread pulls tight, the fabric closing over itself. The act feels small, but survival is made of small acts. The dog circles the room, nose pressed to the ground, searching for crumbs. It finds a fishbone and gnaws noisily, tail wagging. Its presence is steady, a reminder of loyalty, of warmth that asks for nothing but company. You scratch behind its ears, fingers catching in rough fur. It leans into you, sighing. Outside, the storm shifts. The howl lessens, replaced by a soft hiss, as if snow is falling more gently now. You move to the door, crack it open, and peer out. The world is white, endless. Sky and earth fused into one. The shed is half buried, only its roof visible. No path remains, no sign of fields, no line of horizon. The air is cold enough to sting your teeth when you breathe. You close the door quickly, snow swirling in behind you. Back by the fire, you notice the candle guttering. Its wick bends, flame stretching thin. The wax has pooled, hardened in frozen drips. You know more candles remain, but not many. Each flame must be saved, rationed like food, like wood. You wonder how many nights before they are gone, before darkness claims the room entirely. Records suggest some used fish oil lamps when wax ran out, their smoke heavy, their light weak. You imagine the acrid smell, the stinging eyes, and shiver. An elder clears his throat. His voice carries authority even when soft. He speaks of days ahead, of chores waiting, of the need to check the sheep, to break ice for water. His words are steady, even comforting, though you hear strain beneath them. Everyone listens, nodding, because order holds fear at bay. Without routine, the dark would swallow thought itself. The children grow restless again. One picks up a piece of driftwood, carving it carefully with a small knife. Shavings fall to the floor, curling, catching firelight. The figure takes shape slowly. A bird, perhaps, its beak sharp, wings uneven. You watch, mesmerized by the patience of small hands, by the creation of play from scrap. The toy will be crude, but it will carry laughter. The sick woman coughs again, harsher this time. Someone offers her a pouch of dried herbs, crushed into hot water. The steam rises, bitter, filling the air. She breathes it in, eyes closing, shoulders easing. Records suggest such remedies often failed, but sometimes miraculously they worked. No one knows why. You hold your breath, hoping this time will be one of those miracles. The fire flares as more wood is added. The light dances across the walls, illuminating scratches and runes carved into beams. You trace them with your eyes, symbols of protection, prayers etched deep. Some are crude, some careful, each carrying the weight of faith. Records hint at charms carved to keep away misfortune. Though their meanings are uncertain now, you reach out, fingertips brushing the grooves, rough and cool. The wood feels alive with memory. Voices rise again, this time in conversation. Stories of summers past, of sheep shearing, of gatherings at the Althing. Laughter bubbles up, sudden and bright, startling against the gloom. You smile, surprised by how quickly it warms the room. Even the sick woman smiles faintly, her eyes glinting. The storm outside softens further, its roar now a whisper. You hear the drip of meltwater at the eaves. Slow, steady, a rhythm like a clock. It feels like a promise. Though you know winter is far from over, still, each drop is hope. You settle back against the wall, cloak wrapped around you, the fire crackling steady now. Your eyelids grow heavy though the day has barely begun. Time drifts, unmarked, a current pulling you under. The long dark continues. But inside these walls, life persists. Stories told, toys carved, broth shared, songs sung. You breathe in smoke, wool, herbs. You exhale fog. The rhythm steadies. You close your eyes. You hold a lock of fleece in your palm, greasy with lanolin, warm as if the sheep's breath still clings to it. The smell is sharp, earth, animal, rain, but under it runs something almost sweet, the way cold iron can taste sweet on your tongue. Your fingers find their rhythm without asking your mind. Pull, twist, feed, pull, twist, feed. The spindle hangs and spins, a quiet whir like a trapped bee, while the wind outside shoves at the turf walls as if jealous of this small bright work. A woman settles opposite you, knees tucked, skirts brushing the packed earth. Her posture is straight, though her back must ache, and her hands move so steadily the thread looks as if it grows out of the air itself. She nods once, companionable, and lets her own spindle fall. The hall soapstone, cold and smooth, flickers in the firelight, casting a round shadow that yawns and shrinks with the flame. Children watch, chins propped on fists, the dog's head on their knees. The hearth's pop and hiss keeps tempo. The room feels closer now, but calmer, the long dark tucked behind your shoulders while fingers work in front of you. Mainland merchants would weigh cloth with metal. You've heard, but in this house, in this island of winter, spun wool becomes law itself. The word sits in your mind, vedemel, the woven measure that pays debts and dowries, that settles quarrels at the Althing when summer finally comes. That is the plain fact in medieval Iceland. Cloth can be currency, and the small thread crawling from your hand toward the spindle's hunger is coin in the making. The thought trims your movements, sharpens them. You pinch the fibers narrower, twist a fraction tighter, try to picture the cloth it will become: sleeves for a neighbour, mittens for a child, a strap that won't snap in sleet. A draft creeps along the floor, tugging at your ankles. You shift closer to the fire until your shins prickle. The elder's knife rasps on wood somewhere in the dim and stops. Someone coughs, drip, drip at the eaves, marks a subtle thaw, then freezes again with a faint glassy sound. The house gathers these noises and hushes them, like a mother with too many children to soothe. You lick a cracked knuckle. Lanolin coats your tongue, slick and bitter. You grimace, then laugh silently at yourself. The woman across from you smiles as if to say, yes, that taste never leaves. You draft a tricky slub, thick, uneven, and it snags. The spindle jerks, skittering out of line, and you snatch at the thread. Too late. It breaks with a small, rude pop. The spindle drops, wool spinning furious, and rolls toward the fire. Time slows. Someone inhales. You lunge and catch it just before it kisses the ember, heat nicking your palm like a bee sting. The room exhales. The dog thumps its tail. The woman clucks her tongue once, not scolding, just the sound of experience, and you knot the thread again, careful, as if tying the wind to the earth. The woman offers you a thin leather strap to loop over your wrist so the spindle won't run away again. You nod thanks. The leather is slick, faintly sticky with age, and smells of smoke like everything else. She shows you a trick. Lift the spindle at the end of its spin, and give it a small back flick to gather twist at the pinch point. Your fingers mimic hers, and the thread smooths, a river after rock. For a while you are only hands. Against the far wall, a low warp-weighted loom leans like a sleeping animal. Stones dangle from the warps in tidy rows, each a different smoothness, sea-rounded, river-flatted, one popped like a moon. Quirky, ordinary beauties chosen not for looks but for weight, for the way they tug thread straight. A girl runs her fingers over them as if counting rosary beads. The loom will wake later when enough yarn fills baskets. For now, spinning feeds it like a patient you must keep alive with spoonfuls. The work is steadying, though pressure sneaks in with each measured length. You feel it in the quiet math your thumb keeps. How much before sundown that isn't? How much before stores of driftwood thin? How much before the cough across the room worsens? Records suggest, though not all agree, that some households kept their big looms in the bathstoffer, the warm sleeping room, so weaving could go on by breath and candle in the very heart of living. Others hint that looms moved to outbuildings when space ran short. You picture both, cloth like weather, sometimes inside, sometimes out, history itself unable to settle the warp for you. The door opens briefly on a shoulder of snow, light, like cold milk spilling in. A neighbour squeezes through, cheeks cut raw by wind, arms folded around a bundle. He stomps the floor as if convincing it not to be ice, then unfolds a pelt and two small skeins. Trade? His eyebrows ask, words reluctant to grow in air this cold. The elder hovers, measuring value the way a shepherd reads. Cloud ridge, Vathamal will do, but spun yarn is closer to cloth than fleeces, and the cough in the corner needs a better hood by week's end. The negotiation is soft, like beating snow from a sleeve. A strip of dried lamb crosses the room. The skeins stay. Small mercies change hands and warm the house more than the fire does. You spin. The thread climbs your wrist like ivy. The woman across from you tells, without stopping her hands, how her mother taught her by dampening the tips of stubborn fibers with snowmelt, not spit, so the twist wouldn't sour. Is that true? Records hint that some spinners used whey to wet their fingers, the tang tightening wool as it dried. She shrugs mid-sentence. The way people do when they have more ways than one to survive, and the exact one hardly matters if the cloth holds. A child crawls closer and presses their cheek to your skirt, the curve of their face warm against your thigh. Teach me, they whisper. You set their small hands at the drafting triangle, your own cupping theirs, and for a moment the room, the winter, your worry disappears into the thrill of a first even inch. They squeal, then hush, sensing how sound carries in this tiny world. The dog watches with solemn gravity, as if judging the twist. Fatigue arrives the way weather changes, noticed only after it has settled. Your shoulders burn dull, a line from neck to spine that no stretching smooths. The candle gutters and rallies. The bell that isn't there tolls anyway, the repeating motif of this season. The roof groan, the eaves drip, the cough, marking hours your eyes cannot see. You swallow, taste salt on your lip, and remember summer's spray when the sheep were driven through shallow rivers to clean their wool before shearing. The memory shocks you with colour. Green bank, grey backs, the sudden snort of one bold ewe. It fades like sparks into smoke. The elder mentions the althing, in a voice meant for later days. Cloth measurements, legal lengths. He recites a line or two he's heard on the law rock. So many ells to settle so much. Plain fact again, woven into story so it will not fray. Someone chuckles that the lawman's fingers must be smooth with lanolin by summer's end, and a warmth rises that isn't from the fire. Parallel lives brush yours, rich laws and poor hands, men speaking, women spinning, each world leaning on the other to stand. Threads tangle. You untangle them. A spark jumps from the hearth and dies mid-air, a tiny star that never learned to live in sky. The wind eases for a handful of breaths, and in that pause you hear something else. The sea's far thud, slow and sure, as if the ocean is a giant sleeping just beyond the next hill. You close your eyes, tasting salt that isn't from broth this time. Here, the woman says softly, and places her newly finished length of yarn across your palms. It is warm from her hands, faintly damp from breath, resilient as the sheep that grew it. You weigh it the way the elder weighed the neighbour's skeins. Enough for a cuff. Enough for hope too, though hope is hard to measure. You pass back your own, the best of today's twist. She nods, an exchange without coin. A ledger that will never be written, and is therefore harder to forget. Cinematic stillness for a long moment. The room is only motion of hands and the sound of wool singing its silent, dry song. Ash collapses in the fire with a sigh. The cough rests. The dog's ear flicks at a dream. Your breath and hers are so soft they seem like thread too, spun from the same unseen distaff. Outside, the light dims from blue to deeper blue that pretends to be evening. Inside, you and the others roll the day's yarn into balls and lay them in a basket, plaited from driftroot, its edges polished by generations of palms. The elder lifts the basket, weighs it, smiles with his eyes. Pressure doesn't fade, but it loosens a notch. The loom across the room shifts in the draught, a whisper of wood on wall, impatient perhaps. Or maybe that is only you hearing what you need. You tuck the spindle beneath a folded skin so it will not gather frost. You wrap the strap twice around it, then around your wrist once, a promise to the next hour. Your fingers ache. You squeeze them one by one, and lanolin prints your palms' lines like a faint map. The dog stands, shakes, settles again across your feet with a huff that pins you to the warm earth. The wind finds its voice again, low and old. Drip at the eaves resumes, steady as a clock you've never owned. You let your head rest against the turf wall, its cold pressing your temple in a way that grounds you rather than chills. You close your eyes, and even there the day's work remains in the tug of your tendons, in the remembered spin and catch, in the way your breath lengthens to the rhythm of thread, unwinding into future cloth. The long dark leans against the house, listening. Inside, you breathe, and the yarn basket is heavy enough to answer it back. The sagas begin not with trumpets or flourish, but with a cough, a shuffle, a throat cleared into the hush. The elder shifts closer to the hearth, knees cracked, hands folded around a carved staff, whose end is worn smooth by years of leaning. The firelight finds the hollows of his face, turning each line into a story before he even speaks. Children gather first, then women with half-spun yarn still in their laps, then men setting aside knives and leather straps. The room bends toward him, as if the turf walls themselves lean in to listen. "You wake," his voice begins. Though he speaks in the old tongue, words heavy as stones, it rolls low, measured, filling spaces between crackle and sigh. The children hold their breath. You hold yours. He tells of gods who once walked this island, boots sinking in snowdrifts, voices shaking the mountains awake. He speaks of settlers, names long and foreign, their syllables like flint, who claimed valleys with axes, who raised turf walls against storms even fiercer than tonight's. Each sentence stretches, then snaps sharp, the way a ship's rope groans before breaking. Your mind drifts and returns with the rhythm, carried by cadence more than meaning. You see what he describes, a man rowing through ice, hands raw, eyes burning against sleet, a woman carrying sheep on her back across rivers swollen with meltwater. You smell the salt of an ocean that has not touched your lips in months. The saga is more than memory. It is survival itself, giving shape to hardship so it can be born. The dog lifts its head, ears pricked, as if even animals recognize the weight of story. Shadows leap on the turf walls, swelling with each gesture of the elder's hand. You notice a groove in the wood behind him, deep from decades of staff tapping during tales. The sound is soft but steady, heartbeat to the story. Records say these sagas, passed mouth to mouth, were anchors for families, roots dug into shifting snow. Some were true, others less so, though no one here pauses to separate them. A half-remembered tale might hold more power than a fact polished clean. Letters hint that even law could be wrapped inside a story, so that justice itself was remembered in rhyme. The elder's voice drops, pulling you closer. He tells of a feud, brothers divided, a sheep stolen, vengeance sworn. The words paint the turf room with tension. You shift, though you know the ending was written centuries ago. One child clutches a toy horse tight, another bites their lip. The air thickens. Then the rhythm breaks. Laughter, sudden and sharp from a man near the door. Not mockery, but recognition. He remembers a verse, forgotten by the elder, and speaks it aloud. The two voices overlap, stumble, find the same line again, then laugh together. The room exhales. Tension dissolves into warmth. You smile without knowing. The elder continues, weaving gods and men, storm and hearth, until your body sways with the rise and fall. Your fingers curl around your knees, pressing warmth into skin. Fatigue nips at the edges of your vision, but the words hold you upright. A candle sputters, almost dying, then steadies. The flame glows against children's faces, eyes wide, cheeks flushed. Their pupils mirror fire, so they look lit from within. A girl leans forward, mouth slightly open, as if she might swallow the saga whole. Quirky detail. The elder pauses to sip from a horn, and when he tips it back, liquid spills into his beard. A child giggles, muffled quickly by a parent's hand. But even the elder smiles. The beard glistens. drops falling onto his tunic, steaming faintly near the fire. The saga bends now toward wonder. He speaks of the northern lights, a serpent of green and violet that swirls above the frozen sea. You've seen them too, flickering across nights when clouds break, colours more alive than fire, more fearful too. He says they are spears of gods or the shining shields of the dead. Records differ. Some claim they were omens of war, others that they were whale's breath catching sun far beneath waves. You do not know which is true, only that they glow like ghosts come to dance. His words swell, then soften, guiding you into silence. The room holds its breath, each person balanced at the edge of ending. He closes with a verse, old as earth, a rhythm that fits itself into your bones. The final syllable lands like an ember dropped on ash, soft, glowing, fading. No one moves at first. The air is still, except for the faint whine of wind testing shutters. Then the dog sighs, long and heavy, and the spell breaks. Children stir, adults murmur, yarn is taken up again, but the story lingers, its shape burned into the room. You feel the echo in your chest. You think, without these sagas, the dark would be only dark. With them it is thick with voices, footsteps, gods and ancestors. The long winter grows less empty, because it is crowded with memory. The elder leans back, eyes half closed, hand loose on his staff. His lips move silently, perhaps reciting lines still, or perhaps praying. You cannot tell. You stretch, your body stiff from sitting so long. Your legs prickle with returning blood. Your shoulders ache from holding still. You rub at your eyes, smoke stinging. The air is heavy now, though not with fear, with closeness, with breath, with the comfort of being pressed together against endless night. The candle gutters again. Shorter now, its wax nearly gone. The flame dances wildly, then steadies once more. You wonder how many sagas remain, how many nights until the candles are gone. You imagine stories whispered in darkness, words floating without light to catch them. Perhaps they would sound different then, more fragile, more true. You lie back against a rolled sheepskin, eyes half shut. The saga replays in your mind. Ice, feud, serpent lights, blurring with the sound of the storm outside. The roof creaks, the eaves drip, the fire hisses, and through it all the story still echoes, long after the last word. You breathe deep, wool scratchy against your cheek, smoke thick in your nose. You let your body loosen, though your mind still walks the paths of gods and settlers. You drift with them, step by step, until sleep comes not as escape, but as another verse in the saga, unwritten, waiting. The candle shrinks until its flame is the size of a bead. Shadows swell across the turf walls, swallowing beams stretching faces into masks. Someone pinches the wick and darkness folds in, sudden and whole, broken only by the orange glow of the fire. You lie awake, eyes wide, waiting for shapes to reveal themselves in the black. The house breathes, timbers shifting, sheep coughing faintly outside, children murmuring in dreams. You fumble for the small stub of tallow candle set aside for such moments, but a hand stops you. Not yet, someone whispers. Wax is dear, and flame must be rationed like fish and butter. You let go, fingers brushing cool wood instead. The blackness remains, heavy as a blanket. The fire flutters lower. Its warmth is faint, its light uneven. You sit in the near dark, every sound sharper. The crack of sap inside a log, the sigh of wind pressing turf, the pulse in your ears. Even your own breathing feels loud. Records suggest that in these long winters, people learn to sit in dark for hours, to let their eyes map rooms by memory instead of sight. You try it now. Slowly, walls emerge in your mind. Loom in the corner, spindle baskets near the hearth, the sleeping shape of the dog. The children shift in their straw, whispering. Unable to sleep, one complains softly, afraid of the dark. Their mother soothes them, stroking hair, humming low. You hear the tune but cannot see her face, only feel its comfort threading through shadows. For a moment you remember your own childhood, lying in another turf room. The same dark, the same hum. The memory steadies you, reminding you that these long nights have always been endured, and always will. The elder clears his throat. His voice is softer now, stripped of the saga's weight, but it carries all the same. He recites a prayer, old, the words low as a river under ice. You do not catch every line, but the rhythm itself feels protective, as if sound alone can hold back night. He pauses often, leaving silence as part of the prayer. You hear the wind answer through the shutters, a hollow whistle that almost mimics words. Perhaps it is only the storm, perhaps, as some whispered, the spirits themselves. Quirky detail. Someone sneezes suddenly, the sound so loud in the dark that a child yelps. The dog barks once, then settles quickly with a grumble. A moment later, laughter stirs, quiet, stifled, contagious. Even the elder chuckles, his prayer broken but not lost. The laughter fades, leaving warmth behind it, like a hidden ember rekindled. You close your eyes, but sleep does not come. Instead, you drift in the black, listening. The cough rises again, wet, persistent from the sick woman by the wall. She shifts, mutters, then sips water from a wooden cup. The sound is small, but you hear every swallow. Records suggest many remedies for such coughs. Warm milk with herbs, smoke from burning juniper, even charms whispered over the chest. Some swore by them, others doubted. You think of the pouch of herbs steeped earlier, its bitter scent still clinging to air. You hope it helps. Time stretches. You try to guess the hours, but without candle, without sun, each breath could be midnight or dawn. The fire dwindles to coals, the glow red, steady, low. You lean closer, feeling its warmth on your face, your lashes catching faint light. The world is only fire and dark, nothing in between. You notice the smallest details, the way the turf wall weeps faint beads of moisture, catching the glow like dew on grass. The way smoke curls flat along the rafters, trapped by cold. The faint scratch of a mouse behind the wall searching for grain. Such details become immense when sight is stolen, every sense straining to replace what light cannot give. Suddenly a crash outside. Sharp, heavy. The dog leaps up, barking, claws scraping floor. You freeze, heart pounding. Everyone stirs. A man grabs his axe, another a spear. They hold still, listening. The storm moans, snow shifting, perhaps only a roof shed wall collapsing under weight, or perhaps not. Records suggest wolves sometimes prowled close, though sightings were rare. Letters hint at fears of spirits too, shapes that pressed on walls during the longest nights. The uncertainty lingers heavier than any fact. After tense moments, the elder motions calm. The men lower their weapons, though slowly. The dog whines, tail low, ears back. No more sound follows, only the storm's steady voice. Still, you feel the air tight in your chest. Sleep will not return easily now. Someone strikes flint, lighting a new candle at last. The flame blooms, small but fierce, filling the room with gold. Shadows shrink again, familiar shapes returning. Faces tired, eyes wide, hands clenched around weapons or blankets. Relief sighs through the room. The candle burns steady, its short body a promise of light for a little while longer. You sit back, heart easing, breath slowing. The dog curls once more at your feet, though restless. You scratch its ears, feeling its warmth against your skin. The elder resumes humming, the same low tune from before, as if to mend what was broken. Slowly, one by one, people lie down again, though no one fully trusts the dark now. But even in that fragile calm, your mind lingers on what you cannot see. You imagine wolves nosing at sheds, or drifts shifting into avalanches. You imagine spirits gliding past the shutters, drawn to firelight. You know these are only fears, But in a night this long, fear itself becomes a companion, whispering where memory cannot reach. The candle burns lower, wax dripping into small pools that harden in the cold. You think of how each drop is time, each inch a night, each flame a life held briefly against the dark. When it is gone, so is this fragile safety. Yet for now, you let your eyes rest on the flame, steady, soft, alive. The sagas are over, the prayers spoken, the laughter faded. All that remains is the dark pressing outside, the candle pushing back, and your breath, steady, fogging faintly in the cold. The long night continues, but you endure it, hour by hour, flame by flame, and somewhere beyond the shutter, the wind carries its secrets away across the snowfields, leaving only silence, fragile and waiting. You wake to the creak of wood above you, timbers flexing under the weight of snow. The dark has not lifted. It never truly does. The air smells of ash and wool, heavy in your lungs, and your first breath tastes stale. You sit up slowly, straw crackling beneath you, sheepskins sliding from your shoulders. The cold rushes in at once, pricking your skin, biting your toes through thin socks. The fire is low, a mere nest of embers. A man stirs it with iron tongs, coaxing reluctant flame. Sparks leap, brief and bright, then die in the gloom. The room is grey, not from dawn but from smoke finding seams in the turf roof. You rub your eyes, stinging from the haze. The elder mutters about wood running low, his voice gravelly. Driftwood gathered in summer now dwindles, and each log is counted like coin. Someone pulls open the door. A gust of white sweeps in, snow billowing across the floor. You shiver. The dog growls softly, hackles raised at the sight of endless drift. Beyond the threshold, the world is drowned in white silence. No path, no horizon. You hear only the steady hiss of snow falling. Records tell that winter's here, often buried sheds whole, leaving families to dig tunnels just to reach animals. You wonder if that day is near. Tasks call even in such weather. You wrap a cloak tight, pull on stiff boots and follow others outside. The snow clutches at your legs, each step heavy, dragging. Your breath steams, freezing on your eyelashes. The cold gnaws at your nose and cheeks until they burn. The sheds loom as white mounds, their roofs nearly level with the drifts. You and the others carve paths with shovels and hands, arms aching, lungs burning. The snow gives grudgingly, wet and heavy. Inside the shed, the sheep huddle, eyes glinting in the dark. Their breath makes clouds that cling to rafters. They bleat weakly, crowding toward you, pressing bodies together for warmth. The air smells of dung and lanolin, sharp but oddly comforting. You stroke a ew's neck, her wool rough, her skin hot beneath. You feel her ribs thin under fleece. Food is tight for them too. You break ice from the trough, shards scattering, water gleaming beneath. The sheep push forward, lips dipping, tongues lapping greedily. A man scatters hay, the sound of dry stalks crackling. The sheep plunge their noses in, chewing with steady rhythm. You watch, relieved by their hunger. It means they still have strength. But as you turn, you notice one lamb lying apart, legs tucked, eyes dull, its sides heave shallow, its mouth opens soundlessly. You crouch, touch its wool. It is warm but weak. Records suggest such losses were common, animals fading in silence during long, dark months. You rub its head, whispering, though you know whispering cannot save it. You leave reluctantly, the smell of hay and wool clinging to your hands. Back in the house, the fire has grown. Logs cracking, warmth spilling across the room. Children gather near, cheeks flushed, fingers outstretched. One child holds a small knife, carving a toy from driftwood. You watch as shavings curl to the floor, pale against dark earth. Slowly the shape of a horse emerges, its neck arched, legs stubby. The child smiles proudly, eyes bright despite the gloom. You nod, offering praise. Quirky detail. The knife handle is wrapped in fish leather, slick and faintly salty, a smell that never fades. Work resumes. A woman spins wool, her spindle whirring, thread winding fine and strong. Another mends a torn mitten, the needle flashing in firelight. You take up a piece of broken harness, leather stiff, and scrape it smooth, softening it with grease. Hands stay busy. Idleness is dangerous here. Records hint that tasks were shared across gender lines in such winters, necessity dissolving roles. Everyone works, because everyone must. The elder speaks again, not a saga this time, but memory. He tells of a winter when snow buried even the church, its bell silent for weeks. People dug tunnels to reach it, and when they rang the bell again, the sound was muffled, swallowed by snow. He pauses, eyes distant, and you feel the weight of his words. The children listen wide-eyed, imagining bells buried alive. The sick woman coughs again, harsher now. Someone brings her a cup of broth, thin but warm. She sips slowly, lips trembling, eyes wet. A child strokes her arm gently. You see gratitude flicker in her face. Records suggest that in such winters, illness often spread quickly in close quarters, yet care was constant, sharing warmth, food, touch. Even in fear, compassion endured. The candle is lit once more, flame bright against dark. Wax drips steadily, marking time. Shadows leap across the room, twisting, stretching. You trace them with your eyes, shapes shifting into figures. A man with axe, a woman at loom, a beast prowling. You blink, and they dissolve. You wonder if it is only imagination, or if the long dark truly makes shadows alive. The dog stirs, growls softly. Everyone pauses, listening. Outside, the wind has eased. A silence heavier than storm fills the world. You strain to hear. Then faint, distant, a crack, like ice breaking. The sound echoes, then fades. No one speaks. Some glance at each other, uncertain. Records hint at avalanches, sudden and deadly, sweeping whole slopes clean. Perhaps it was that. Or perhaps only snow shifting under its own weight. The uncertainty lingers, sharper than fact. You return to your seat near the fire, hands aching from cold. The room feels smaller now, packed with bodies, breath, smoke. Yet within it, warmth holds. A child leans against you, head heavy on your arm. You let them rest, their hair soft, smelling of wool. The dog curls at your feet, sighing, tail twitching in dream. The candle burns on, its light steady. The world outside is endless white, endless silence. Inside, life continues. Sheep fed, mittens mended, stories told, cough soothed, toys carved. The dark is long, but within it, fire and hands and voices weave a shelter no storm can break. You close your eyes, listening, the fire's crackle, the steady breath of sleepers, the faint drip at the eaves. Your body loosens, your mind drifts. The long dark presses close, but you press back with warmth, with work, with care, and for now it is enough. The air thickens with the smell of ale, as clay mugs are passed hand to hand, their rims chipped, their sides dark with years of use. You cradle yours carefully, the warmth seeping into stiff fingers, the rough clay scratching at your palms. The drink is weak, brewed from grain stretched thin, its taste sour but steadying. Still, as it slides down your throat, a slow heat gathers in your belly. Around you voices stir, soft laughter, murmured thanks, a tune hummed under breath. For a moment the house feels lighter, the walls less close, the roof less heavy. The mugs make a soft circle passed from left to right. Each sip is measured, for no one knows when the next brewing will be. A man wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, then blows across the rim to warm his fingers. A woman dips her nose into her mug, inhaling deeply before tasting. The dog pads across the floor, snuffling at drops spilled in the dirt. You watch the small ritual repeat, lift, sip, sigh, as though the mugs themselves are anchors against the storm outside. Tea follows, thick, sour curds scooped from wooden tubs. A child hands you a bowl, its sides worn smooth by decades of spoons. The wood smells faintly of milk. Even after years, you taste it, sharp on the tongue, creamy at the back of your throat. It clings to your lips, cool against cracked skin. Some wrinkle noses, weary of the flavour, but still they eat. Records note how skyr was a staple, eaten day after day, sustaining households when little else remained. You understand now, it is not delight but endurance in a bowl. Each spoonful is survival disguised as food. The elder raises his mug, his hand trembling faintly. He speaks not as storyteller this time, but as neighbour, reminding all that sharing strengthens more than food itself. His voice is low but carries to every corner. Ale runs thin, but spirit does not, he says. The words settle warmly, though his eyes betray fatigue. You nod, though your throat is too full to answer. A boy, restless with the weight of silence, begins to sing. The tune is simple, a circle of notes that rise and fall like waves. At first his voice wavers, uncertain, but another joins, then another, until the room hums with melody. The dog lifts its head, ears twitching, then sighs as if soothed by sound. You close your eyes, letting the music settle into your chest. The voices do not blend perfectly. Some wander off key, some stumble, but together they feel whole. The rhythm grows. One child taps time on a bowl with a spoon, soft thuds that turn into heartbeat. Another claps quietly, muffled by wool sleeves. The room develops a pulse, fragile but alive. You feel your body sway without meaning to, caught by rhythm. Even the elder, stiff-backed, taps his staff gently on the packed earth floor, each knock steady, anchoring the voices. Records suggest gatherings often included song and ale, even in monasteries where rules pressed hard. Letters hint at moderation demanded by priests, though households bent rules in dark months. Tonight feels like both a ritual to steady spirits, not to lose them. The ale does not intoxicate. It steadies. The song does not distract. It binds. Quirky detail, as mugs empty. Some scrape the bottoms with spoons, tapping out small echoes that join the song. A percussion of hunger turned playful. The sound makes you smile, the rhythm expanding into something like music made by necessity. The elder's voice rises, stronger now, carrying a verse older than anyone remembers. His eyes glint with light. His back straightens. His voice cracks once but presses on. Others answer him, call and response, words tumbling from mouths that do not always know them, but shape them anyway. The children clap faster. The dog wags its tail. Even the sick woman's lips move faintly, though no sound emerges. You feel heat rise in your chest, not just from ale, but from belonging. A man near the door stumbles on a line, replaces it with nonsense words, and laughter breaks the rhythm for a moment. The whole room chuckles, even the elder, before the melody gathers itself again. For a heartbeat, the house feels like summer, voices loud, spirits bright, the storm outside forgotten. You notice the sick woman lift her mug with trembling hands. She sips slowly, then sets it down, her lips curling into a faint smile. A child leans into her side, and for a moment her face softens, light catching in her tired eyes. The sight eases something in you, as if her small comfort steadies all. The fire blazes brighter, fed with careful logs. Shadows dance across turf walls, wild, leaping, chasing one another like figures in the song. The loom in the corner sways in draught, its hanging stones swinging faintly, as if nodding to rhythm. You imagine threads humming with the tune, as though the cloth of tomorrow already carries tonight's voices. The air grows warmer with song. Sweat beads at your temples despite the cold outside. You shrug your cloak looser, feeling the wool scratch your neck. Your body aches less, shoulders loosening, chest lighter. Laughter bursts again when the smallest child tries to sing too loud, voice cracking like a breaking twig. No one hushes them. The sound folds neatly into the whole. The elder calls for quiet, and silence settles, thick but gentle. He lifts his mug again, toasting to the storm outside, to the roof that holds, to the sheep that still breathe, to the children who sing. Everyone raises theirs in turn, clay clinking softly, echoing like bells muffled by snow. You drink, the ale sour, thin but rich with meaning now. Then the mug's empty, the bowl scraped clean. Voices fade, replaced by the hiss of logs, the sigh of sleepers shifting, the dog's paws twitching in dreams. The air smells of sour milk, smoke, sweat. Your belly feels full, not from plenty, but from enough. You lean back, closing your eyes, listening to the last hum of melody linger in your chest. You think, this is how the long night is endured, not only with food, but with song, with laughter, with mugs raised in fragile defiance. Even the faintest voice matters when the storm presses close. Outside, the wind claws at the turf, rattling shutters, swallowing the sound of song before it can escape. Inside, warmth lingers, though fragile, though fleeting. You breathe deeply, letting it settle, knowing it may be gone by morning, but for now, it is here. You pull the cloak closer again, the wool rough, the smell of lanolin faint but comforting. You rest your head against the turf wall, cool against your skin. Your eyelids grow heavy, though voices still murmur, though logs still crackle. You let them carry you like waves into drifting dark. The last image before your eyes close is of mugs stacked neatly, their rims catching firelight, as if promising another gathering, another song, another night survived. The storm softens into a steady hush, and with it comes work. There is no sunrise to mark the hour, only the sense that bodies have rested enough and must move again. You push aside the sheepskins, feet sinking into the straw, breath clouding before you. The air is damp with smoke and wool grease, sharp enough to sting your throat. A log cracks in the fire, sending a brief spray of sparks into the gloom. Your hands search for tasks before your mind wakes fully. A mitten with a hole waits near your knee. You thread a bone needle with coarse yarn, fingers stiff at first, then nimble. The wool scrapes against your skin, leaving faint grease on your fingertips. Each stitch closes a gap. Each pull tightens against cold that has not yet arrived but will. The work is small, but you know small things keep death at bay. Across the room, someone mends a harness, leather stretched across their lap. Another sharpens a knife, its rasp steady, sparks flashing briefly as stone meets iron. The sound is a rhythm, part of the house's heartbeat. Children carry armfuls of wood, stacking it by the hearth with pride, their small bodies staggering under weight. The dog follows, tail wagging, nosing at chips of bark. Outside chores cannot wait either. You wrap in layers of wool and step into the drift. The air slaps your cheeks, cutting, raw. The shed looms half buried, its roof bent under snow. You dig a path, shovel biting, arms burning. Each breath freezes in your beard, turning to crystals. Your toes ache, numbness creeping up your calves. You hear sheep bleat faintly, muffled, desperate. You work faster, chest heaving, until the door is clear. Inside, the animals stir, crowding against you. Their wool steams in the cold air, their breath thick and hot. You break ice from their trough, your hands numb to the bone. Water splashes, black and shining in dim light. They drink greedily, muzzles pushing against each other, hay crunching underfoot. The smell is sharp, dung and lanolin, filling your nose until you cannot smell cold anymore. You notice one sheep limping, its hoof split. You crouch, steadying it, your fingers probing carefully. It bleats, head jerking, but you hold fast. You wrap the hoof with cloth soaked in herbs, the scent bitter, sharp. Records suggest healers often used angelica or yarrow for such wounds, though results were uncertain. You tie the cloth tight, whispering, though you do not know if it helps the sheep or only yourself. Back inside, the house feels crowded with work. A loom stands ready, warp stretched taut, stones dangling. A woman moves carefully before it, her hands guiding shuttle through threads. The sound of the loom is steady. Tap, pull, beat, like rain on turf. Children sit nearby, winding yarn into balls, their fingers clumsy but determined. The cloth grows slowly, line by line, each inch a victory over cold. You return to your mending, the needle flashing faintly in firelight. The hole closes, the mitten whole again. You slip it onto your hand, the wool scratchy but warm. Pride flickers in your chest, though the work is humble. This mitten may mean a child's fingers stay, not freeze. You lay it aside carefully, as though laying aside life itself. The elder moves among the workers, his staff tapping floor. He praises, instructs, reminds. His voice is low, steady, though tired. He pauses at the loom, running his hand over the cloth, eyes narrowing, nodding approval. He lingers at the sick woman's side, speaking softly. She coughs, nods, sips from her cup. His hand rests on her shoulder longer than necessary, perhaps in comfort, perhaps in fear. Quirky detail. The child sneaks a coal from the hearth on the end of a stick, using it to scorch patterns into a scrap of wood. The smell of burned timber fills the air, faintly sweet, faintly dangerous. They carve nothing useful, only lines, swirls, a crooked star, but they beam as though they've created a saga of their own. A parent scolds, takes the coal, yet cannot hide a smile. The fire blazes higher, as more logs are fed. Shadows stretch across turf walls, bending, swaying, alive. You trace them with your eyes, shapes forming and dissolving, figures, animals, spirits. Perhaps imagination, perhaps the long dark itself playing tricks. Records suggest many feared such shadows, believing them to be signs, omens. Others thought them harmless. Tricks of fire. You do not know which to believe, but you cannot look away. The work continues for hours, unmeasured by sun, only the drip at the eaves, the hiss of logs, the cough of the sick mark time, the loom's beat, the knife's rasp, the spindle's whir. They fill the silence, steady and fragile. You lose yourself in rhythm, your mind drifting even as your hands remain busy. At last, the elder calls for rest. The room exhales, shoulders dropping, tools set aside. The children sprawl near the hearth, the dog curling between them, its fur warm against their legs. Someone ladles broth into bowls, thin but steaming, the smell filling every corner. You drink greedily, though it tastes only of salt and smoke. Hunger makes no complaint. You lean back, belly warm, eyes heavy. The workers warn you, but it steadies you too. You think this is how the long night is endured. Not by waiting, but by working. Each stitch, each thread, each stroke of knife against stone is a line of defence. The storm presses close, but inside the house hums with life. Your body loosens. Your eyes drift closed. Around you, voices soften, children yawn. The dog sighs. The loom stands quiet. The spindle rests. The needles lie still, yet the work remains in the air, woven into breath itself. You feel it settle over you, heavier than wool, lighter than fear. The long dark continues, but you endure it, hour by hour, task by task. The silence of morning is not absence but density. Snow presses against the turf walls, swallowing sounds so completely that even your own breath feels foreign, as though it belongs to someone else. You wake slowly, ears straining, body confused by the lack of noise. The storm has gone, but what it leaves behind is heavier, a muffled stillness that makes every movement cautious. You sit up, skin falling from your shoulders. The air is colder than yesterday, sharper, as though the storm pulled warmth away with it. The fire is nearly gone, a hollow of ash with a faint red heart. You stir it, coaxing sparks, feeding it slivers of wood until flame licks again at the darkness. The sound of crackle is relief, proof that something still answers you. But beyond the walls, nothing. No wind, no bird, no crack of shifting ice. The stillness is so total it unnerves you. A child whispers, "Where is the world?" Their voice trembles, echoing your own thought. A woman hushes them, stroking hair, but her eyes too dart toward the shutter, uneasy. Records suggest such muffled days were common after great storms, when snow piled so thick it buried roofs and paths. Some described it as being entombed alive. You understand now. The silence feels like burial. You stand, cloak pulled close, and push open the door. It resists, heavy, until a wall of snow gives way, collapsing inward in a rush. Cold floods the room, the smell of ice, sharp, almost metallic. You dig with numb hands, carving a narrow tunnel until daylight leaks through, pale, ghostly, almost blue. You crawl out, knees sinking deep. The world above is gone. Roofs vanish under drifts. Fences are swallowed whole. Only the peaks of sheds rise like islands in a white sea. The sky is flat, colourless, refusing to mark horizon. You turn in a slow circle and feel dizzy, as though you've stepped into nothingness. Your breath clouds thick, your eyelashes crust with frost. You hear at last a faint creak, like distant wood shifting, then silence again. You stamp your feet, the sound muffled instantly, swallowed before it travels. The air feels wrong too still. You think, if you screamed, would anyone hear? You do not test it. Back inside, others gather around the tunnel you dug, their faces pale, eyes wide. The elder frowns, tapping his staff. He mutters that the snow must be cut back daily, or the house will vanish completely. Work is planned, men with shovels, women carrying baskets of snow to toss far from the roof. Children too, scraping paths with hands, for even their small efforts matter. The silence has made everyone restless. Work will break it. You take a shovel and climb out again. The snow bites your skin, dazzling in its brightness. Each scoop is heavy, your arms quickly burning. The dog bounds beside you, leaping through drifts, sinking, climbing again. Its joyful motion is strange in this still world, a reminder of life unbothered by fear. You watch it, smiling despite the ache in your back. Hours pass, though you cannot tell how many. The sky never changes. The air remains thick, still. Your muscles throb, sweat freezes in your hair, your hands blister even inside mittens. The silence gnaws at you, worse than the storm's roar. At least the storm spoke. This quiet feels like erasure. You return inside, collapsing near the fire. Someone passes a bowl of broth, thin and lukewarm, but you drink gratefully. The taste of salt grounds you, brings you back into body. Children chatter faintly, their voices the only real sound. One laughs too loud, and the laugh startles everyone. Heads jerking up, then relief follows. Laughter is proof you are not buried after all. Quirky detail. A boy sticks his ear to the turf wall, insisting he can hear the snow settling, like tiny grains trickling. You try it too, and though you know it must be imagination, you hear something faint, a hiss, a whisper. You pull back quickly, shivering. The elder speaks of other winters, when silence lasted weeks, when people grew restless, sick with unease. He warns against fear, saying silence is only weather, not curse. Yet his hands grip his staff tightly, knuckles white. You see his jaw clench, though his voice remains calm. Work resumes indoors. Spindles whirl, looms clack, knives scrape. The noise fills the room deliberately, as if to fight the quiet outside. Even the children are louder, their games more boisterous. A girl sings a nonsense song, her words tumbling into laughter, until others join in. The house vibrates with sound, fragile but stubborn. Still, between bursts of noise, silence creeps back. It seeps through cracks, settles in corners, presses on ears. You hear your own heartbeat louder than before, feel your pulse in your fingers. Time drags, heavy, each moment stretching long. Records hint that some people marked hours by dripping water, by tapping on walls, by counting breaths, anything to measure silence into smaller pieces. You find yourself counting too, each stitch, each beat of the loom. Numbers steady you. Evening, or what passes for it, arrives without change in light. The fire is fed again, its crackle fierce. Welcome. Shadows stretch. Voices grow hushed. The sick woman lies quiet, her cough muted tonight, her breath shallow but steady. A child curls at her side, hand resting on hers. The sight calms you, a small mercy in silence. The elder begins a tale, softer than a saga, more like a memory. He speaks of a winter when a neighbour's roof collapsed under snow, and men dug for hours to find the family alive. Some say their prayers echoed through the drift. Others swear it was silence that saved them, for noise would have brought more collapse. The truth is uncertain, blurred by years. You shiver, imagining voices trapped beneath white, muffled, unheard. The fire dies lower, leaving only embers. You lie back, cloak wrapped tight, straw rustling under you. The silence presses again, heavy, almost alive. You close your eyes, listening to your own breath. You imagine the snow outside piled high, pressing close, listening too. The long, dark stretches, endless, but inside, warmth lingers. Fragile flame, fragile breath. You breathe slow, steady, telling yourself the silence is only snow, not death. Only snow, only snow. You lie awake, the silence still humming in your ears, when someone stirs and begins to speak of summer. Their voice is hushed, half to themselves, but soon others lean closer, hungry for the sound of another season. The elder shifts on his bench, nodding slowly, encouraging the words to continue. In the thick dark of winter, talk of summer is not idle, it is medicine, a reminder that the world beyond snow still exists. The stories drift, at first broken and quiet, then swelling, weaving into each other. They turn, as they always do, toward Thingvellir, the great gathering place. Even in deep winter, memories of the law council, trade, and festival glow in the air like sparks rising from the hearth. You close your eyes and imagine it as they describe the valley spreading wide, a ribbon of water glinting, tents rising like sails across green meadows. The smell of smoke and roasting lamb, the hum of thousands of voices, traders shouting, poets chanting, lawmen pronouncing. For a breath you almost hear it, bells ringing, laughter tumbling, the stamp of hooves. Then you open your eyes again and see only turf walls, dim firelight, the cough of the sick woman. The ache of contrast presses at your chest. Records tell that the Althing was not only law but life itself, a place where scattered families rejoined, where grievances were settled, goods exchanged, marriages promised. In winter those memories bloom larger, like plants growing in the dark. The elder himself says quietly, a man who goes to the Althing returns either richer or wiser. You wonder if that is always true, or if it is only a story retold to keep hope alive. A man near the hearth recounts how last summer he traded a bolt of vathermal for a new axe head. He chuckles, admitting the cloth was uneven, the blade nicked, but both men left grinning as though each had cheated the other. A woman adds her memory, a poet's verse that danced so quick and clever that even stern law speakers forgot their frowns. The children sit cross-legged, eyes wide, lips parted, drinking in a world they have never seen. You see it too, horses tethered in long lines, their manes combed, their breath steaming, men racing across ridges, voices echoing down valleys, the stalls of goods, soapstone pots stacked neatly, carved bone combs shining white, dried fish hanging, beads glinting like captured stars. Even the thought makes your mouth water. Here in the turf house the broth is thin, the skyr sour, but there in memory food is abundant, flavours endless. A boy interrupts suddenly, blurting that he once saw a juggler at Thingvellir. He stretches his small arms, miming the toss of stones against a bright sky. His hands flail, and he drops 3 carved chips on the floor. They clatter loud in the hush, and everyone bursts into laughter, sudden and sharp. The boy laughs too, though his cheeks flame red. The sound fills the room so full, it feels like summer itself has squeezed through the cracks in the turf. Even the sick woman smiles faintly, her lips trembling but her eyes glowing. The elder raises his staff, the wood knocking gently against the floor. His voice dips low. Thingvellir is months away yet. Snow must melt, rivers open, paths clear. We must endure before we may return. His words are steady, but the reminder weighs heavy. The room quiets. Everyone knows survival is the bridge to that valley, and not all may cross it. Later, when chores resume, you find yourself clinging to those images. You stitch wool, your hands busy, but in your mind you walk the green meadow. You hear bargaining, smell herbs crushed underfoot, taste ale stronger than the weak brew in your cup. Every pull of the thread feels like tying yourself tighter to that promise. Without the thought of Thingvellir, winter would be only stone and silence. The dog lies at your feet, sighing, twitching in dreams. Its paws paddle, as if chasing rabbits. Perhaps in its sleep it runs through meadows, grass brushing its flanks. You reach down, scratching behind its ears, and feel its warm body lean against your leg. For a moment, even the dog seems bound to this shared remembering. The elder clears his throat again, and this time his voice takes on cadence, the chant of lore. He recites measures of cloth and weight of silver, his tone like a drum beat. So many ells for so much land, so many sheep for so much gold. His eyes close as he speaks, his hand tapping his staff to keep rhythm. Records say lore lived in mouths before it ever lived on parchment. Words were the archive. Tonight in the turf room, they are recited so they will not slip into the silence. The children grow restless. 2 girls braid each other's hair, fingers clumsy, strands pulling free. They giggle, scold, start over, their laughter tumbling like brook water. Parents watch with indulgent smiles. Even small play is welcome noise. A boy spins a wooden horse across the floor, its carved legs stubby, but in his mind it gallops through green fields. You see the hunger in his eyes. He longs for a world larger than this room. You glance again at the sick woman. Her body is thinner, her skin sallow, but tonight her cough is quieter. She leans against the turf wall, eyes half shut, lips moving faintly, as though repeating the elder's recitations under her breath. Perhaps lore steadies her, as story steadies you. Perhaps she too clings to Thingvellir, though she knows the path there is long and uncertain. The fire burns steady, shadows alive on walls. You trace them with your eyes, and they become horses racing, men shouting, women weaving, poets gesturing. The imagination bends light into what you long for. You let it. Without such vision, hope itself would starve. Records hint that many families survived winter by clinging to such dreams. Not all dreams reach summer. Some perished with the dreamers. But still they were told, passed, believed. They were as necessary as food, as precious as fire. Tonight you understand why. The talk softens at last. Children drowsing. Mugs emptied. The silence returns. But now it is gentler, wrapped in laughter still echoing, in memories of meadows. You lie back against the wall, cloak rough under your chin. You close your eyes, and though the house is dark, you see bright tents rising, hear voices calling. The Althing lives inside you, keeping the night at bay. The silence breaks again with a sound less welcome, a cough, deep and ragged, pulling you from shallow sleep. You open your eyes to the dim glow of embers, the room heavy with the sour-sweet odour of sickness. The sick woman leans forward, her body shaking with each spasm. A child rubs her back, their small hand pale against her shoulder. She tries to wave them away but cannot. Her breath rattles like loose stones. You rise quietly, cloak wrapped tight, and join those who stir around her. Someone lifts a small pouch of herbs, shaking it near their ear. The leaves inside clink faintly. Too few left. They steep what remains in a cup of hot water. The smell drifts out, sharp, bitter, filling the air with hope that feels thin as steam. The woman sips, her lips trembling, her hands shaking so badly the cup must be held for her. She swallows, grimaces, coughs again. Records suggest remedies for winter illness varied. Angelica roots boiled for fever, juniper smoke for the chest, milk warmed with butter for strength. Some believed in charms whispered over water, others in runes scratched into wood. None guaranteed cure. Letters from monasteries speak of fevers sweeping whole valleys, children and elders lost within days. You watch her now and know those records are more than words. The elder kneels beside her, laying a hand on her forehead. His palm lingers, eyes shut, lips moving silently. Perhaps a prayer, perhaps only memory of one. His face is set, but you see the shadow in it. He has seen this before, knows where it leads. He does not speak that truth aloud. The children look on, restless, uneasy. One boy fidgets, carving at a scrap of wood with nervous hands. Another rocks slowly, eyes fixed on the fire. Their laughter of the day is gone, swallowed by the cough's rhythm. You feel the weight of it too, the sense that illness does not belong to one person alone, but settles over the entire house. A pot is set on the fire, water thickening with dried leaves and stalks. The smell grows stronger, filling noses, clinging to hair. Someone dips a cloth, wrings it out, presses it against the woman's chest. Steam rises around her, beads of sweat forming on her brow. She gasps, breath catching, but her shoulders relax slightly. The room exhales with her. You return to your seat, though your eyes remain fixed on her. Each breath she takes feels borrowed, each cough a debt unpaid. The dog lies near her feet, head resting on paws, eyes following her every move. It whines softly, as if sensing what words cannot admit. Quirky detail. A girl begins to hum, almost absent-mindedly while she twists yarn. The tune is off-key, meandering, but the sound fills the tense silence. The elder glances at her, nods faintly, and she grows louder. Soon another voice joins, then another. Not song exactly, but a web of sound woven across the room, lifting weight from air. You join too, your voice rough, small, but steady. The woman closes her eyes, lips parting faintly, as if tasting the sound more than hearing it. Her hand drifts upward, rests on her child's hair. For a moment her chest eases. The cough fades into quiet. Relief settles fragile as snow. But you know it will return. Records tell that winter illnesses often ebbed and flowed, false peace before the next storm. You wonder if she knows it too. Her eyes open briefly, meeting yours. They shine in the firelight, weary but fierce. You look away first. Time drags, heavy, marked by small sounds. The hiss of herbs in water, the snap of twigs in fire, the faint wheeze of breath. Outside, snow shifts, roof timbers creak, but inside all ears stay tuned to the woman's chest. Each inhale feels like a rope pulled taut, each exhale like its release. You count them without meaning to, numbers rising, falling, your chest tightening with hers. At last she drifts into shallow sleep, body sagging against the wall. The child beside her slumps too, head tucked under her arm. The elder rises slowly, joints stiff and gestures for quiet. The room softens, movements hushed, voices no more than whispers. You return to your spot, cloak heavy around you. You breathe in smoke, wool, herbs. The air feels thicker now, weighted with fear not spoken aloud. You think of summers when illness passed quickly, when sun burned it away. Here in winter, with no sun, no fresh air, sickness lingers, breeding in shadow. The elder speaks quietly, reminding all that care must continue. The woman must be kept warm, fed, given herbs if any remain. No one argues. Even in fear, no one turns away. Compassion is as necessary as food, perhaps more. Without it, winter would claim more than bodies. It would claim souls. The children resume small tasks. One spins a top made of bone, watching it wobble on uneven floor. Another plaits straw into a rough braid, then unravels it, then plaits again. Their play is muted, cautious, but it steadies them. You watch, grateful for even that fragile laughter. The fire burns low again, wood rationed carefully. Shadows climb high, filling corners, stretching into uneasy shapes. You trace them, your mind restless. Figures flicker, a woman coughing, a healer whispering, a spirit waiting. You blink hard, but they remain. Records suggest many believed sickness invited spirits, that weak bodies were doors for unseen visitors. You do not believe fully, yet tonight in this dark you cannot dismiss it. The elder hums softly, then begins a prayer in earnest, words low, drawn out, heavy as stones placed one by one. Others bow their heads, lips moving silently. You do not know every line, but you murmur anyway, letting the rhythm hold you. For a moment the house feels steady again, bound together by words older than fear. The woman stirs in sleep, cough breaking her breath. The dog shifts closer, pressing its body against her legs. Its eyes are half shut, ears twitching, as if standing guard even in dream. You feel comfort in that small gesture, the loyalty of an animal who does not ask why. You close your eyes at last, though unease lingers. The cough may return any moment, breaking the fragile peace. Still, you let yourself drift, body heavy, breath slow. Around you, others sleep too, huddled close, their warmth mingling. The fire crackles faint, the herbs scent the air, the silence waits outside. The long dark stretches on, filled now with breath and fear and care. You tell yourself, you endure together, or not at all. You cling to that thought as sleep takes you. The day begins not with firelight, but with the scrape of knife against bone. You blink awake to see a boy hunched near the hearth, his hands busy over a pale fragment left from last night's broth. He drags the blade slowly, shaping rough edges into lines. At first you think he is only whittling idly, but then you see the marks, straight strokes crossing, curving, intersecting. The elder notices too. He leans forward, staff tapping once, the sound sharp in the hush. The boy startles but does not stop. Instead, he mutters softly, repeating words he cannot fully explain. The elder nods, then instructs him to hold the bones steady, to carve deeper at the edges. Soon others gather, curious. You rise, cloak wrapped around your shoulders, and step closer. The marks take shape slowly, a protection charm, the elder says, tracing one line with a weathered finger, for health, for the sick. His voice is low, reverent. The boy nods solemnly, though his hands tremble. Records suggest such charms were common, scratched into bone, wood, or stone, then hidden in walls or sewn into clothes. Some believe they kept misfortune at bay, others dismiss them as superstition, but in the long night every gesture of hope matters. The bone is small, curved, its surface porous. Each stroke sends a faint dust rising. The smell of scorched marrow lingers. Though the fire is cold, a girl brings another piece, a shard of driftwood. She scratches lines too, clumsy but earnest. Soon children are etching symbols across scraps. Fish bones, wood chips, even the soft skin of leather. The room fills with the faint scratch of knives, the sound like insects buzzing. Quirky detail, one boy carves too eagerly, the knife slipping, leaving a jagged cut on his palm. He gasps, blood bright against pale skin. His mother hurries, pressing wool against it, scolding softly. The elder frowns but does not forbid the carving. He says wounds heal, but forgetting protection costs more. The boy sniffles, then returns to his task with careful hands. You take up a fragment yourself, the surface cool under your fingers. You score a line, then another, hesitant. The elder guides you, adjusting your angle, murmuring which shapes matter most. This one for strength, this one for warmth, this one for peace in sleep. You do not know if they work, but as you press lines into the bone, your breath steadies. The marks feel like prayers spoken in a language older than words. The sick woman stirs, coughing weakly. Her child presses a carved scrap into her hands, eyes pleading. She clutches it, fingers trembling, holding it to her chest. Her breath eases slightly, though whether from charm or from faith, no one can say. Records hint that charms soothed not only spirits but hearts, giving people something to hold when medicine failed. You see it now, the way her eyes close, calmer, her lips moving in silent repetition of the lines. The fire grows stronger as more logs are added. The runes catch light, shadows deepening in grooves. The elder arranges them on a bench, muttering, adjusting their order. He says placement matters, though no record agrees. Perhaps it does, perhaps not. Still, he takes time, aligning each carefully. Children watch wide-eyed, believing fully. You feel belief tug at you too, unwilling or not. Outside, the silence continues, snow heavy, air still, but inside the room hums with quiet purpose. Each person carves or watches, breath mixing with smoke. Even those who doubt keep silent. Doubt is a luxury for summers, not for winters where sickness lingers and storms bury doors. Later, when tasks shift, the charms remain near the hearth. Some are slipped into pouches, others tied to beams. You tuck yours into your cloak, the bone cool against your skin. It presses faintly as you move, a reminder that even if runes do nothing, you are not entirely helpless. The dog noses at the pile, sniffing, sneezing, then settling again. Its tail thumps once, as if in approval. You laugh softly, surprising yourself. The sound is fragile, but true. The elder ends the carving with a chant, half prayer, half song. His voice is rough, steady, each syllable drawn out. He taps his staff with rhythm, wood on earth, echoing faintly. The children join, repeating phrases, their voices high and eager. The sick woman murmurs too, faintly though her chest rattles. The sound rises, fills the room, threads through shadows. You feel it settle in your bones, deep, as if older than memory. When the chant ends, silence follows, but it is softer now, not the heavy silence of snow. This silence feels chosen, reverent, almost warm. You sit, cloak heavy, bone charm pressing at your chest. You breathe slowly, evenly, as though the runes have taught your lungs a steadier rhythm. Records suggest historians argued over whether such rituals were pagan remnants or Christian practices cloaked in old symbols. Some claim the runes held no power, others insist they bound households together, belief as shield. You cannot say which is true. All you know is this. Tonight, with runes scratched and chants spoken, the room feels less fragile, the dark less close. The elder leans back, eyes closing, staff resting across his knees. Children curl against their mothers, charms clutched tight. The dog sighs, curling tighter. The fire crackles, shadows leap. You lie back too, the bone pressing into your skin. You let it stay there, as though it anchors you to life itself. The night stretches, long, uncertain, but within it, lines carved into scraps glow faintly in your mind, each a promise, each a thread against unravelling. You breathe deep, close your eyes, and let the runes hold you. The night deepens, and with it comes a glow that no fire can match. A child stirs first, pointing at the shutter, whispering. You follow their gaze and see faint green seeping through cracks in the turf wall, a shimmer that bends and pulses like breath. Murmurs rise, the lights. The sky is alive. The door is pushed open with care. Cold rushes in, sharp and biting, but no one hesitates. You wrap your cloak tight and step outside, boots sinking deep in snow. The world is black and white, endless drift under endless dark except above. The sky ripples, curtains of green sway like veils stirred by unseen hands, streaks of violet dart among them, faint but real, like threads woven into cloth. The lights curl, bend, then unfold across the heavens, moving faster than clouds but slower than flames. They shift as though alive, a dance performed in silence. The children gasp, clutching each other's hands. The dog barks once, sharp, then whines, unsettled. The elder raises his staff, face tilted up, eyes reflecting green. He whispers something low, a line of prayer, or perhaps a warning. Records suggest many feared the northern lights as omens of war or death, shields of dead warriors flashing across the sky. Others believed they were blessings, proof of divine presence. Tonight, standing in snow under rippling fire, you cannot decide which to believe. The air is still, the snow crunches under shifting feet, and yet the sky moves as if wind alone lives there. You feel your skin prickle, hair rising on your arms. The cold fades, replaced by awe so sharp it hurts. Quirky detail. A girl tries to catch the lights in her mitten, reaching upward, her breath fogging before her face. She giggles when her hand closes on nothing but air. Her father laughs, lifting her higher, as though that extra inch might make the difference. The laughter is small, but it breaks tension, reminding all that even omens can be play. The sick woman is helped outside, wrapped in skins. She leans on her child, eyes wide as she stares upward. The green glow paints her face, softening the hollows of her cheeks, making her appear younger, stronger. She whispers something too faint to catch, but her lips curve into the ghost of a smile. For a moment, her cough seems far away. The elder speaks louder now, his voice carrying. He says the lights are spears of gods clashing in heavens, their battles spilling across night. He pauses, then shakes his head, admitting he cannot know for certain. Records speak one way, stories another, but none can deny their power. His honesty steadies you, though uncertainty lingers. You tilt your head back until your neck aches, unable to look away. The lights ripple faster, shifting from green to pale gold, then back again. They stretch into arcs, then collapse into folds, like cloth shaken in wind. You wonder what it would feel like to touch them, warm or cold, sharp or soft. The thought makes you shiver, though not from chill. The silence grows heavy again, but this time it is awe, not fear. No one speaks. The fire above is enough. You hear only breath, the crunch of snow as someone shifts, the faint whine of the dog. You think of what these lights mean. To some they are spirits, to others signs of storms or harvests. Records differ. Some called them dangerous, warning that mocking them would bring death. Others claimed they were guides, pointing travellers home. You wonder if either is true or if the lights are only themselves, needing no meaning beyond what your eyes cannot stop drinking. The elder begins a chant, soft, steady, his staff marking rhythm in snow. His voice is rough but strong, carrying upward. Slowly others join. The chant rises, weaving with lights, as if words themselves might climb into the sky. You add your voice too, hesitant at first, then firmer, your breath frosting before you. The green glow washes over faces, turning every eye strange, luminous. You glance at your neighbours and see them not as weary, hungry people, but as figures from sagas, heroes bathed in divine light. The illusion holds until someone coughs, breaking the spell, reminding all of the human beneath. Yet the feeling lingers, stronger than doubt. The lights shift again, dimming, thinning, folding themselves back into black. One by one, the curtains fade until only faint wisps remain. The sky is dark once more, stars pricking faintly, the moon pale and distant. The awe dissolves into shivers as cold sinks into bones again. The elder lowers his staff. "Enough," he says gently. The sky has spoken. His words settle over you like a blanket. People turn back toward the turf house, feet dragging, breaths heavy. No one wants to leave, but cold insists. Inside, warmth hits again. Smoke thick but welcome. Children chatter, reenacting the lights with their hands, swaying arms, giggling. Adults shake their heads but smile faintly. The sick woman settles back onto straw, eyes still shining. She clutches her child's hand tightly, refusing to let go. You sit near the fire, cloak steaming faintly from snow. Your mind replays the lights, folding and unfolding, brighter than fire, stranger than dream. The sight clings to you, stitched into your memory. Records say the northern lights frightened some, inspired others, confused many. You think all are true. Fear, wonder, confusion, all live together under that sky. Tonight you felt them all at once. The fire pops, sparks rising, shadows leaping. You close your eyes and see green still, etched behind your lids. You breathe deeply, letting it steady you. The dark feels less empty now, less crushing. You think the sky itself remembered you, if only for a moment. You lie back, straw rustling under you, cloak pulled tight, your eyes drift closed. In your dream, the lights ripple again, folding across night, not distant but near, brushing your skin like silk. You reach, and this time your hand closes not on air, but on warmth. The house shudders before you even wake. At first you think it is a dream, the creak of beams bending, the low moan of timbers, but then it comes again, louder, sharper, rattling bowls against the wall. You sit up fast, skins sliding from your shoulders. The air is heavy, tense as though the dark itself has weight. A gust slams against the turf roof, sending a thin rain of dirt and snow sifting onto the floor. Children cry out. The dog leaps up, barking, claws scraping at the earth floor. Outside, the wind roars, a howl that drowns all thought. You clutch your cloak tight, heart thudding. This is no gentle storm. Someone shouts, but the words vanish into the gale. The door bangs open, snow blasting in, the cold cutting like knives. A man fights to close it again, his whole body pressed against the wood. When it latches, the roar muffles, but not enough. The house trembles as though giants push at its walls. You hear a groan above, the turf roof sagging under pressure. The elder's face hardens. He points to beams, orders men to brace them. You grab one yourself, its surface rough, splinters biting your palms. You lean your weight, every muscle straining, while the roof moans and shakes. Records suggest storms like these could last days, flattening houses, scattering livestock, burying paths for weeks. You feel in your bones how true that is. The fire gutters, smoke swirling as wind finds cracks. Ash stings your eyes. The children huddle, crying softly, while mothers hold them close. A girl presses her face into a mother's wool skirt, shoulders trembling. The sick woman coughs, her thin body shaking with each breath. Her child shields her with their own body, as if arms alone could hold the storm back. Quirky detail, one boy, perhaps too frightened to sit still, begins to drum softly on a wooden bowl with his spoon. The rhythm is uneven, frantic, but it cuts through the roar. For a moment it steadies the children, noise against noise. Even you feel calmer, your breath falling into rhythm with the desperate beat. The wind shrieks again, higher, wilder. You imagine it tearing across the valley, ripping roofs from sheds, dragging snow into walls higher than houses. You think of sheep huddled in darkness, their bleats lost to storm. You wonder how many will survive. The elder calls for prayer, his voice rough but strong. He begins with words steady and old, words that remind you of sagas spoken by fire. Others join, their voices shaking but firm. Together they rise, a chant against the gale, fragile but unbroken. You add yours too, throat tight, breath fogging. For a moment the prayer and the wind weave together, neither silencing the other. The roof shifts again, turf crumbling, Snow drifts through a crack, dusting shoulders and hair. A woman screams. Men press harder against beams, teeth clenched, sweat freezing on brows. Your arms ache, but you do not let go. To falter is to fall. Hours, or what feels like hours, drag past. The storm does not relent. Time is marked only by the fire shrinking, by the children's cries, softening into exhausted whimpers. Your muscles burn, your back knots, but you keep leaning. Your breath rasps, shallow. Finally, the elder raises a hand. The wind outside has shifted. Less shrill, more like a heavy sigh. The beams groan, but no longer tremble. You ease your weight slowly, wary. Snow still presses, but the worst has passed. Relief ripples through the room, though no one fully relaxes. The door is opened cautiously. Outside, the world is unrecognizable. Drifts tower higher than men, shapes of sheds blurred into white mounds. The sky is low, grey, thick with swirling flakes. The wind has calmed, but its damage is clear. Paths buried, fences gone. The valley itself feels erased. You step outside, snow biting at your ankles. The cold is sharp, cruel, but the silence after the storm is almost beautiful. You hear faint cracks in distance, trees breaking under weight, ice shifting on rivers. The air tastes metallic, clean, unforgiving. Back inside, the fire is fed, flames rising again. Children are soothed. Women brush snow from shoulders. Men wipe sweat from brows. The sick woman lies still, her breath shallow but steady. Her child strokes her hand, murmuring softly. You sit near the fire, cloak heavy, arms trembling from strain. The elder speaks quietly, reminding all that storms pass, but only if houses hold. He praises the beams, the hands that braced them, the prayers spoken loud. His words settle like balm, though his eyes remain wary. He knows more storms will come. Quirky detail again. One man brushes snow from his beard into a wooden cup, handing it to a child who licks it as if it were sugar. The laugh that follows eases the tension. Though briefly, you smile too, though your lips crack with cold. The storm fades fully by nightfall. The wind outside whispers, but no longer threatens. Inside, the fire glows. Shadows dance. You breathe easier, though weariness clings. Your muscles ache. Your throat burns, your ears still ring. You lie back on straw, cloak wrapped tight, eyes heavy. The storm lingers in your body. The weight of beams, the roar in your ears, the taste of fear. You close your eyes, but the darkness still shakes, still moans. You remind yourself, the house held. You held. The long night continues, storms and silence trading places. But inside, breath still fogs, fire still burns, children still laugh faintly. You press your palm against rough wool, against bone charm tucked beneath, and let yourself drift. The storm is gone. For now, you are counting drips at the eaves again. 1, 2, 3, when the knock comes. Not a fist exactly, more a thud of shoulder against wood, followed by a breathless laugh you almost recognize. The dog barks once, then wags as if it has read the shape of the visitor through the snow. You push to your feet, cloak dragging, and lift the latch. Cold enters first, a white hand pressed over the mouth of the room, and then the neighbour squeezes through, hunched, rimmed with frost, beard a thatch of ice. He smells of smoke and sea, and something oily, seal perhaps, woven into wool so deeply no soapstone pot would scrub it out. He grins, teeth flashing, and shakes himself like a dog. I brought a little, he says, and from under his cloak appears a bundle tied with plaited sinew, dried meat, thin as parchment, and a turnip with a dent the size of a thumb. You feel an ache behind your eyes at the sight, not greed, gratitude. The bundle changes the air. Someone laughs, someone claps his shoulder, and the house shifts slightly, as if the walls exhale. Bread never comes in winter. Not here, but meat, even the dry, leathery kind you must soak forever. This is festival by another name. You lay the strips on a board warmed by the fire. Fat pebbles glisten like amber when the heat finds them. A faint hiss, a fragrance that steps over smoke and sits down in every chest. The neighbour holds his hands to the flame and flexes fingers that do not want to move. His nails are black with peat. His knuckles split and healing. Shovels broke, he says. But the path to my sheep is open again. Yours. You trade news the way other people trade cloth. The sheep in your shed are eating, one lamb is weak. The roof held in the storm. But the western seam groans. The neighbour nods, eyes flicking to the beam you braced all night. His gaze lingers there with a craftsman's worry. I brought pitch, he says. From the sea rack he burned down, a small lump wrapped in fish skin. It stinks like sin, but it seals. He grins again, sheepish at his own gift's smell, and the dog sneezes as if in agreement. Quirky detail when he unwinds the fish skin. The pitch print leaves a black, glossy thumb mark on his palm that will not wash out for days. He wipes it on his trousers and leaves a shining comet there. The elder gestures him to sit. The neighbour shakes his head. I'll eat, and then I help, he says, already looking toward the door. In a summer world you might argue hospitality and chairs and the order of things. In this winter world, help outranks everything. You pass him a cup of thin ale anyway, and he swallows in 2 gulps, the sound loud in the hush. Records suggest medieval Icelanders bound themselves to one another by more than blood, a web of obligation and relief, hrepa. Those parish-like groups that shared burdens when storms took more than one family could carry. Some say the rules were strict. Who owed whom meat, who must shelter the poor. Others insist it was looser, neighbour to neighbour, a promise made over hearths and held by hands, not law rock. Either way, the fact sits warm in your chest. You are not alone. You wrap your boots and go back into the white. The neighbour leads, his steps sure in drifts, a short-handled spade over his shoulder. He's lashed whale rib to the bottom of a sled. A rough runner, he claims, glides better than any plank. Records hint some folk tied ribs or driftwood, as runners under sleds when good timber was scarce. Others say this is fanciful, fishermen's boasting. The thing leaves twin grooves in snow, and that's enough proof for you. You load it with a bundle of brush, pitch and a coil of rope stiff as horns. Wind has fallen to a hush so complete you can hear your own breath as separate from the cold. The sheds crouch under their fur of snow. The neighbour squints at the roofline, then at the sky. We make a notch, he says, as if he can bargain with weight itself. You work side by side, cutting, carving steps, tossing blocks of snow that explode into powder. The rope hums against your mittens, a low bee song. Your arms burn. Back knots. Breath scratches your throat raw. He hums under his breath too, a few notes of some nonsense tune carried from the last Althing, or a memory before that. Inside, the neighbour's wife. No, not wife, you are not certain. His sister, perhaps. Records suggest kin terms become slippery in retellings. People lived bound close, and words like neighbour covered more shapes than tongues. Now keep, whoever waits there, their hands will be busy with the same work you do, tending, boiling, spinning. You picture them without meaning to. This parallel motion across the drift. Parallel lives like these stitch a valley together, even when paths vanish. You find the weak place at last, snow packed harder than bone where the roof meets the wall. The neighbour wedges the spade and levers slowly. The seam sighs and a thin line opens. You slide the pitch into it, hot cinders hissing when they touch the cold. The air fills with a smell like burned sea, resin and fish at once. You gag and laugh both. He barks a cough, then grins with black teeth. Pitch on enamel, not decay. Hate this stink, he says. Love the way it keeps water out. The seam darkens, drinks the heat. You clamber down, legs shaking. He claps your shoulder with a gloved hand heavy as a mallet. Come, he says. Your lamb. He is not forgotten. Kindness that remembers details. That's the sort that moves the line between night and day. Back in the shed, the lamb lies where you left it, eyes like wet stones. You lift its head, and it bleats once, too tired to be loud. The neighbour kneels, untying a small hide pouch from his belt. He produces a twist of dried angelica and a lump of tallow with grit in it. Chew and rub, he says, matter of fact, as if the world is simple, fat for warmth, herb for luck, both for love. You massage the tallow into the lamb's skinny ribs. He tucks the herb against its gums. Records say angelica keeps death bored, he mutters with a smile, but I say it keeps hands honest. You do not ask which is true. The lamb's breath steadies to a soft whistle, and that is miracle enough for 1 hour. By the time you drag yourself back inside, your face burns with the thaw of it. The neighbour stands stamping snow from his boots, ready to leave, but the elder insists, palm raised, a quiet command. Sit, he says. Eat as we eat. The strips of meat have softened in a pot with a sting of whey. Hands tilt the pot. Steam pearls the air. You share bowls, spoons, even silence, and the sharing tastes better than salt ever did. News travels with him like warmth. He tells of a roof caved in by the river, but a family dug free, of a cow calving too early and living still, of a boy breaking through crust snow and laughing anyway, of a sled overturned and righted with no one hurt. Records suggest word of mouth was winter's lifeline, the valley's pulse. Tonight it feels like it. Each sentence a heartbeat, each detail proof the world beyond your wall still breathes. He yanks a boot toward the fire and peels it off with a hiss. The soul gapes like a mouth. You reach for awl and cord without thinking, and soon your hands are making small, neat bites through leather, stitching it shut. The neighbour watches like a man seeing a boat patched. You stitch like a fisherman's net, he says. You shrug, amused at the comparison. You have only ever mended what winter chews. Quirky detail. The thread you use smells faintly of smoke and old milk because it once served as a tie around a skyr tub. When the needle warms it, the scent blooms and makes 2 children wrinkle noses with dramatic disgust. Take a coal for the road, someone says. He grins and refuses. I've breath enough, but accepts a sliver of meat wrapped in cloth and a rune-scratched slat the children press into his palm. For the path, they whisper. He tucks it inside his shirt with the solemnity of a vow. At the door, the elder stops him with a palm against his chest. The old man's eyes are wet in the corners and bright with unshed winter. We have you, he says simply. Not we owe you, not we bless you. We have you. The neighbour nods once, throat working, and ducks into the white. The dog noses the crack as if memorizing his scent, then settles with a long sigh that sounds like trust. The room hushes. The meat is gone, the smell remains, the bundle string coiled on the table like a small finished task. Your shoulders feel less tight. The beam seems to groan a little less, or perhaps that is only your own ribs. You think of comforts the listener knows now. Bells on walls, buttons to press, voices summoned from far away, and you do not envy them exactly. But you marvel that a knock on a door from one human could still be all the rescue a night requires. Records suggest bargains sealed with hand clasps, gifts repaid at Althing months later, a weight of varthmal, a lamb, a promise. Letters hint that some neighbours turned away in the worst years, bread guarded behind shut doors. Not all stories choose kindness. You hold both truths gently. What people do when pressed is a field that grows many crops. Tonight, the harvest was mercies. The drip at the eaves begins again. 1, 2, 3, like a clock finally remembering its job. The sick woman sleeps. The child's hand curled over hers. The lamb in the shed breathes. The scene gleams dark and sealed. Your palms smell of pitch and milk and iron. You lie back, straw crackling, and feel heat seep up from the floor like old friendship. The knock could come again tomorrow from you at his door, perhaps. You think of the sled grooves in the snow already filling, of rope burning your mitten where it slides, of laughter half swallowed by scarves. You picture the neighbour's comet smear on his trousers and smile into the dark. The house is the same size it was at dawn, but it feels larger now. It contains 2 homes, maybe 3, a path between them that no storm erased. Your eyes close, your breath finds the eaves rhythm. The long night does not lift, but it loosens its grip just enough to let you sleep. The house smells of damp wool and smoke when you wake, but under it lies something sharper, the faint tang of metal. At first you think it is in your dreams, but then you see a man crouched near the hearth, hammer raised over a flat stone. He is a guest, a cousin of someone in the house, and he has brought with him a pouch of bent nails, scraps of iron, bits of broken tools. The hammer falls, slow and steady. Each strike rings dully in the thick air, not the bright song of a smithy, but a muffled echo, iron against stone. Sparks leap once, twice, then fade. The children watch wide-eyed, their breath fogging in the chill. They whisper as though they are at a holy ritual, not merely the repair of a buckle. You lean closer. The man heats a scrap in the fire, the orange glow creeping across it like sunrise. He pulls it free with tongs so crude they are little more than bent iron rods. The smell of scorched metal fills the room, mixing with ash and wool. He sets the piece on the stone, strikes again, and the sound bites through silence. Records suggest winter smithing was rare in Iceland. Iron was scarce, fuel scarcer. Most repairs waited until summer, when charcoal could be made, but sometimes needs pressed too hard to wait. A broken buckle, a snapped knife. Tonight, need has forced flame to do what the dark resists. The man works slowly, carefully. He bends the scrap, flattens edges, shapes it with patient blows. Sweat beads on his forehead. Though the room is cold, his breath hisses between his teeth with each strike. He dips the iron in a bowl of water, steam hissing, the smell sharp as blood. The children gasp, delighted, frightened. Quirky detail. One child sneaks closer, mimicking each strike with a wooden spoon on the floor. The rhythm is off, hollow, but earnest. Their small face glows with pride, as though they too are smithing. The dog growls softly at the sound, then settles again, nose on paws, unimpressed. The sick woman stirs, coughing, but her eyes flicker open to watch. Perhaps even illness bends toward the hammer's sound. She murmurs faintly, words you cannot hear, then drifts again. The man straightens, holding up the finished piece. A buckle, rough but whole. He wipes it on his sleeve, smearing soot, then hands it to the elder. The elder nods, satisfied, and clasps it in both hands as though it were gold. Repairs like this are not only tools, they are survival, proof that even in scarcity you can remake what breaks. You feel your chest tighten, an ache that is not sorrow but recognition. Small victories matter. A buckle forged in fire is more than metal. It is defiance against winter itself. The man continues, working through his pouch. A nail is straightened, a knife tip filed sharp, a hinge reforged. Each sound echoes, each smell burns your nose. Hours pass unnoticed, marked only by the pile of finished scraps growing beside him. At last he stops, shoulders sagging, hands black with soot. The fire is low, wood nearly gone, but the work is done. He sits back, wiping sweat with the back of his wrist. Eyes closed. Someone passes him a cup of broth, thin but warm. He drinks greedily, broth spilling down his beard, steam rising from the cup. The elder places the finished pieces on a cloth, arranging them with care. Buckle, knife tip, hinge. They gleam faintly in firelight. Small, plain, but precious. The children stare as though at treasure. One reaches out, touches the buckle, and gasps at its heat. Records suggest that in such winters, iron was worth more than silver. A single nail could mean a repaired roof. A single knife could mean meat cut and shared. Tonight you feel the truth of it. These scraps are riches more valuable than coins hidden in summer earth. The man finally speaks, voice hoarse. He says his fuel is gone, the pouch empty. He will not smith again until spring. The room falls silent at his words. You feel the weight of finality, the knowledge that these pieces must last, that no more can be made until months have passed. Quirky detail. A girl braids a piece of soot-blackened string from his pouch into her hair, laughing when it leaves streaks on her cheek. Her mother scolds, wiping it away, but the laughter lingers. Even soot becomes play, even scarcity becomes gain. The elder lifts the buckle again, holds it high. He speaks of strength, of patience, of survival. His words are simple, but his eyes shine. The buckle glints, small but bright, catching firelight. The children cheer softly, clapping hands, though they do not fully understand. You clap too, your palms stinging, not from the strike, but from the meaning. The fire dwindles lower, smoke thickening. The air grows heavy, eyes sting, lungs ache, yet no one complains. The smell of iron lingers, sharp, grounding. You sit back, cloak rough against your skin, and watch the finished pieces cooling. The dog stretches, yawns, nose twitching at the metallic tang. It sneezes, then curls again, tail flicking. The children lie down too, heads resting on arms, eyes half shut. Their lips still murmur softly, repeating the rhythm of hammer on stone. You hear it even after it has stopped. The man sleeps at last, head against wall, soot on his cheeks. His pouch lies empty beside him, the tongs crooked at his side. The elder covers him with a cloak, silent, respectful. You watch, chest heavy with gratitude. The long night continues. Outside, snow presses, wind waits, but inside, scraps have been made whole again, and that feels like victory. You close your eyes, the hammer's rhythm still echoing in your skull, the smell of scorched iron clinging to your hair. You drift into sleep, clutching the thought, what breaks can sometimes be mended. The air is close when you wake, thick with breath and wool grease. The fire is only embers, their faint red like buried eyes in the ash. You stretch, bones stiff, joints aching from straw pressed too long against skin. For a moment you wonder why you woke at all. Then you hear it, a low moan, not of storm or timber, but of someone's body. The sick woman stirs, her chest rattling with each breath. Her cough has grown weaker, not louder, and that weakness is worse. The child beside her strokes her arm, whispering nonsense words, half lullaby, half prayer. The elder kneels close, pressing his ear to her lips, then sits back, his eyes grim. No words are spoken, but the truth has already crossed the room. You rise slowly, cloak sliding from your shoulders. Others stir too. Drawn by the sound, a bowl of broth is brought. Steam thin, scent faint. Her lips barely part, the broth spilling, trailing down her chin. Someone wipes it gently, their hand trembling. Records suggest death in winter was not rare. Too many bodies in too little air. Illness moving through houses like smoke. Some accounts speak of whole farms emptied. Neighbours digging graves in frozen ground. Others hint that not all were mourned, that hardship dulled grief. But here, watching her chest rise shallow, you feel grief sharpening instead, as if scarcity makes every life brighter, more unbearable to lose. The elder begins a prayer, low and steady, his staff tapping rhythm on the floor. Others join, murmuring words half known, their voices trembling. The sick woman's eyes flutter open. For a moment they clear, sharp, alive. She reaches for her child's hand, grasps it tightly, and her lips move. No sound comes, but her mouth forms the shape of words. Remember. Then her body stills. Her hand loosens. Silence presses heavy. The child cries out. A sound raw, cutting, echoing against turf walls. The dog whines, tail tucked, ears flat. You look away, your throat burning. But there is no escape from the sound. The elder lowers his head, whispering final lines. His voice is steady, but his shoulders slump. Quirky detail. A candle is lit and set near her head, its flame bending in draught. The wax drips down, hardening in ridges that look like ribs. A child, too young to grasp the moment, stares at the wax, fascinated, whispering that it looks like snow frozen mid-fall. Their voices hushed quickly, but not cruelly. Children see differently, even in grief. The elder speaks again, reminding all that care must continue. Even now, the body must be washed, clothed, prepared. The frozen ground must be broken, a grave cut. The words are practical, but they weigh like stones. You follow as preparations begin. Water is heated, steam rising into cold air. Cloth is laid out, plain but clean. The woman's body is lifted gently, her hair combed, her face wiped. Her skin is pale, her lips blue, her eyes closed forever. The work is quiet, reverent. No one speaks loudly. Even the children are hushed, sensing the change. Records suggest burial was difficult in winter. The earth frozen too hard to dig. Sometimes bodies were kept until spring, laid in sheds or caves. Other times graves were hewn with axes, hours of labour for a single resting place. Tonight the elder decides the grave must be dug now, no matter the ground. Waiting feels unbearable. You step outside, shovel in hand. The air bites, sharper than ever. The sky is flat, grey, refusing stars. Snow crunches underfoot, heavy, unforgiving. You dig where the elder points, your shovel striking hard ground. The sound rings like iron. You strike again, arms aching, sweat freezing on your brow. Others join, axes biting, spades scraping. The work is brutal, the ground reluctant to yield. Hours pass, breath steaming, muscles burning. Slowly the earth gives. A pit takes shape, shallow, rough. But enough. You rest, chest heaving, hands blistered. Your body aches as though you've wrestled the dark itself. The body is carried out, wrapped in wool, the child walking beside, silent now, face pale. The candle is brought to, its flame flickering in wind, its wax dripping down the cloth. The elder speaks words as the body is lowered. His voice cracks once, but he continues. The child places a carved charm on the chest, a bone rune scratched yesterday. The sight of it makes your throat ache. Hope placed into death, faith against finality. Quirky detail. Snowflakes fall into the grave, landing on cloth, melting instantly, leaving tiny dark spots like ink. The child whispers that the sky is crying. No one corrects them. The earth is shoveled back, heavy, final. Each clod thuds against wool, each sound sharper than the storm's roar. The grave fills slowly, then fully. A mound rises, rough, white with snow. The elder marks it with a staff, pressing deep, leaving a sign that will vanish when drifts shift. You wonder who will remember this place when winter passes. The walk back to the house is silent. No one speaks. The air feels thinner, the world smaller. Inside, the fire crackles, shadows dance, but warmth feels dimmer. The child curls into a blanket, eyes open, staring. You sit nearby, helpless, your own breath uneven. The elder reminds all again. Life continues. Sheep must be fed. Food must be shared. Work must be done. His voice is steady, but you hear weariness beneath. You know he is right. To stop is to follow her into stillness. The night deepens. The house breathes slowly. Grief heavy but quiet. You lie back. Cloak rough. Straw crackling. Your eyes close, but behind them you see the grave. Snow falling, candle flame flickering. You breathe, steady, unsteady, telling yourself the long night continues, but so do you. You wake to pale light pressing against the shutters. Not dawn exactly, but something softer than dark, a thinning of night. At first you think you are dreaming, But when you sit up, others are stirring too, their faces turned toward that faint glow. Someone pushes the door open. Snow falls inward, cold and sharp, but beyond it, the air is different. The sky is no longer heavy grey. It is washed in pale blue, almost fragile, as though light has remembered the world. You step outside, boots sinking deep, cloak tight around your shoulders. The snow still stretches endless, white and unforgiving, but now the horizon glows faintly gold. The sun itself is hidden, low behind mountains, but its promise is enough. Your breath catches. After months of dark, the world exhales. Children run into the drift, their laughter loud, their boots kicking snow that sparkles in thin light. Their shouts echo across the valley, startling in brightness after so many muted nights. The dog bounds after them, tail wagging, barking at nothing but joy. You smile despite the ache in your chest. Records suggest Icelanders marked the first return of sun with celebration, small though it was. Some accounts mention candles lit in windows, bread shared if any could be spared, prayers whispered for strength. Others tell of silence instead, as if awe was too great for noise. You feel both impulses now, to shout and to hush, to laugh and to weep. The elder steps outside, his staff sinking in snow. His face is lined, weary, but his eyes shine. He raises the staff high, then lowers it slowly, marking the moment. The light returns, he says. His voice cracks but holds. The words settle into you, heavier than prayer, lighter than air. Quirky detail. One boy squints up at the glow and insists the sun looks shy, as though peeking around a mountain. He cups his hands to his mouth and shouts, "Come out." The others laugh, joining his call. Their voices rise, echoing, as though coaxing a friend from hiding. You turn toward the sheds. The sheep stir restlessly, their bleats sharper, louder, as if they too sense the change. You dig a path, shovel biting, arms burning, but the work feels lighter under pale light. Inside, the animals press close, their wool steaming in cold air. You scatter hay, break ice, stroke a lamb's back. Its breath is warm, its body steady. The grave outside weighs heavy in your mind, but here life presses on. Back in the house, the fire blazes higher, logs fed with less fear. Shadows leap across turf walls, but they are weaker now, softened by light filtering through shutters. The room feels larger, less like a cave, more like a home. The sick woman's child sits quietly, clutching the carved charm. Their eyes are red, but they watch the light with a small smile. You wonder if they feel their mother's gaze in it. The elder calls for food. Skyr is passed, stockfish softened, broth poured. The taste is no different, but under light it feels richer, warmer. You chew slowly, letting each bite linger, savouring the simple fact of seeing it in glow rather than shadow. After eating, the elder begins a saga. His voice is steady, low, weaving tales of men who endured darkened storms, who carved lore from stone and hope from ice. His words no longer feel like defense against silence. They feel like celebration of survival. Children lean forward, their eyes wide, faces bright in flickering gold. You lean too, your body heavy, but your chest lighter. The neighbour returns, shoulders dusted with frost, sled dragging behind. He carries driftwood and dried fish, his beard rimmed with ice. He grins wide when he sees the glow through the door. She came back, he says, tilting his chin to the horizon. His voice is rough, but his laugh rings clear. He sets the wood by the fire, the fish by the hearth, and sits, his hands spread wide. For a moment, the house feels full again, not of bodies, but of life. Quirky detail. One child takes a shard of ice from the sled and holds it up to the light. It catches gold, gleaming like glass. The child gasps, insisting it is treasure. They place it carefully on a shelf near the hearth, though it melts quickly, leaving only a wet mark on the wood. Still, everyone nods as if treasure truly was found. The elder speaks of Thingvellir again, of summer waiting. His words no longer sound like distant dream, but like path already begun. The children chatter about races, traders, tents. The adults smile faintly, tired but hopeful. You picture green valley, river glinting, tents rising. For the first time in months, the vision feels reachable. The day fades slowly, light thin but steady. Shadows creep again, but they no longer smother. The fire is lit brighter, laughter rises louder, voices steadier. The long night has not ended. It will linger still, but the grip has loosened. The world has shifted. As you lie down, cloak rough, straw rustling under you, you feel warmth not only from fire but from light remembered. Your eyes close, but behind them the horizon glows still. You breathe deep, steady, and for the first time in months, sleep comes easily. The long night continues, but now it carries promise. You tell yourself you endured, you will endure, and beyond this dark light waits. The storm has faded. The last fire of the night burns low and the air is soft with smoke and wool. You are safe now. The world of long winters, of coughing fires and creaking beams, drifts away behind you. It does not vanish all at once. It thins like mist over a river, until it is only memory. You feel your breath ease, deeper now, slower. The straw under your body is not rough anymore, only steady, only grounding. Each exhale releases the weight of the dark. Each inhale draws in warmth. The silence that once pressed so heavy is now gentle, like a blanket tucked around your shoulders. The faces fade too. Children leaning close to firelight, the elder with staff in hand, the neighbour brushing snow from his beard. Their voices blur, sagas dissolving into rhythm without words. They are still there, but softer now, as though stepping back into shadow, leaving you with calm. The grave is quiet. The lamb still breathes. The sheep are fed. The roof holds. All the work of surviving settles into stillness. Nothing left to carry. You do not need to brace beams or count drips or carve runes anymore. You only need to breathe. The air grows warmer, lighter, shadows dissolve, walls melt away. You are no longer in a turf house nor a valley of snow. You are drifting beyond it where no storm can reach. The sound of the wind is only a whisper now, fading further, until it is nothing at all. You are safe. The long night is behind you. The world fades, the body softens, and only comfort remains. Your breathing slows, steady, sure. The journey is complete. Sweet dreams.